Hello, consumers. It's Altari, the professional gamer, back at it again with a bunch of new information that was dropped for Pax Day. Yes, over the weekend at the PC Gaming Show, the developers over at Mainframe gave us a bunch of new information with an 18.5-minute interview mixed in with a bunch of new gameplay footage and a lot of new information. Over on our Twitch channel, we partnered up with Phoenix and ManaJunkies, who are both members of the Pax Dei community, and we did a live reaction and trailer analysis. So while I am diligently working on writing a bunch of new videos, editing them, and getting them ready to present to you all, I wanted to just get a raw, pretty much unedited live stream footage over to you all so that you could start looking at it. It's very, very long. It's about 2.5 hours. So put it on while you're working or just enjoy because we were flabbergasted by the amount of cool new information that we got. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to like and subscribe, share this video with your friends if you think they'll be interested in Pax Day. Also, do go drop a sub over on Phoenix's channel. His channel name is Yes, It's Phoenix, and he has a lot of cool new informational videos that he also posts on Pax Day weekly. ManaJunkies is planning on streaming for Pax Day when it gets closer to release, so definitely check him out over on Twitch. But without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
With weird
There it is.
electric money. Luckily, though, video games can bring the medieval fantasy to life. To find out how, I had Fri-Dei activate her new reporter drone. Oh, it's designed to identify, question, and report back on the work of leading game developers.
What are we even watching? What is
And
this?
Don't worry.
I'm so over this guy. He's
Completely
killing me.
legal. I mean, this little guy's even got a selfie.
He's so
light,
animated.
Cute, in like a friendly
character.
panopticon kind of way.
Like a Steve Jobs knockoff? Or
Or
I guess a Tim Cook
Budget.
Yeah.
Behind the highly anticipated medieval must-play, Pax
There we go.
Day. Let's
Oh,
take a look.
are you kidding me?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Here, just
Oh. Wait. What?
what? Wait, what? Wait.
UE6 graphics right here.
No, they.
He totally just said UE6.
Totally.
My name is Reynir Harðarsson, and I'm the game director for Pax Dei. Pax Dei is an open world fantasy game in a living, breathing world which we can call home, where it's teeming with life, mysteries, and it's for you to explore. Imagine yourself if you are living in 12th or 13th century Europe. It's a very different.
That was a
reality.
dungeon.
You know, it's where knowledge has been
there's
lost
trees.
and it's getting rediscovered. It's where magic truly exists and ghosts exist and the myths are real. And this is kind of the inspiration we take to build. It's basically going back to the roots of what fantasy means and building a fantasy world based on real-world mythologies. And so we go very much into the roots. So we're using a lot of medieval literature and
Well, there's a new book to read.
bestiaries and grimoires, using real-world magic,
Grimoires.
actual recipes for healing and ointments, and using the real-world magical properties of plants.
Okay.
Gosh. My prayers have been answered. Thank you.
I'm Sokara. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Mainframe Industries. So Pax Day, maybe the way to explain it would be, imagine you're in this amazing, beautiful world. It's huge. And you find yourself in a forest, and your mission is to find a plot for where you stay home. And from that home, you will go on to adventures to explore the world. So with the lore, we have wanted to create something that is fairly deep and rich and grounded in reality, but something that is actually not a direct copy of any of the history. So there's multiple types of ruins, there's the dungeons, and you will be able to find snippets of the lore from the eras when these were created in the game itself. And part of the lore and mystery is also part of in the gameplay itself, so you will be able to find and examine things and actually then find snippets that help you find other places and make items in the game itself. And the area of the game that you will be able to play when the game launches
This is very cool.
we're calling it Gallia, and it's very similar to the areas of the world in
Whoa.
France. with the influences from the Nordics where we're from. So what we're building
okay,
is
so
we're calling it a
players,
social
nice.
sandbox.
This is like an actual city.
On how you can actually interact with other players. Where most MMOs actually put a lot of blocks in how you can cooperate with the other players, and we're fundamentally different. So from the first minute when you start playing the game,
crap.
you will be able to do everything you imagine with the other players. So you can
This isn't even the final
but also
product.
can actually help
Right.
you can literally go onto
Pre-alpha.
dungeon
We're in
day
pre-alpha.
from the very beginning of like you starting the journey in the game, should you find people who actually help you to do that. What we want to create an environment that actually really incentivizes people to play the game the way they like. And for some, actually, like just going out to the wood and like cutting down the forest is something that gives you a sense of achievement, because you know the coal that you're helping to produce actually is valuable for the guild. Some people will absolutely prefer to just go to the dungeons. They couldn't care less about the
That
coal
is a very creepy
production.
forest.
But these players as well still depend on each
It
other.
is.
Where there's valuables to bring from the dungeon, there's valuables to bring from the forest, and even the PvP players, they will be able to produce items that are only available through the PvP, but they will depend
Oh.
on the
I
other
can't get
players
over
as
the
well.
way this looks. Oh my gosh.
I know. It's
You hear
so
that?
freaking good.
Said PvP players will be able to make items that PvE only players won't be able to.
The lore of Pax Dei is
See,
very
that's
much
when-
inspired by real-world
Culture
folklore
stuff like that.
and
The
and
PvP
heritage.
PvP crowd goes wild.
With, of course, the caveat that
But it'll be vice
in Pax
versa. too, I
Dei,
feel.
this stuff is actually literally real. The
Holy
interesting thing about
crap.
folklore throughout the
Zebians.
ages is that folklore
Oh, the Aurora.
actually starts
The
off
Aurora
as true
Night.
stories, whereas
Ooh,
fairy
nice.
tales are
Look at that.
fiction, and that's the distinction between the two. Folklore often, you know, handles about ghosts or spirits or some supernatural things, but in the eyes of the people, you know, during those times, this is reality. This is real. Ghosts are real, and you know, this is not disputed as, you know, any fantasy.
I love their
And
accents.
this is what we want to reflect. So when you're walking in the
Ghosts
forest
are
during the
real.
night, you will find these things. You will find ghosts. You will find the spirits of,
Oh,
you
the
know, of
wisps.
the past. And the deeper you go, the more.
Is that like a
mysterious
shrine or
things
something?
I want a
become.
jacket. Their studio is based out of a castle.
That would be amazing.
That's my goal. That's my goal for
If
them.
that caused any existential
Let's
anxieties
go.
or stresses, it might help to try reframing those stresses in a
Oh.
positive light.
There was a
Think
lot
of
of
me,
new
perhaps,
footage
as a
there.
blue shell from your
So
favorite
much good
kart
stuff.
racer.
They said a
I
lot of
might
good
be
stuff. too.
wielded to ruthlessly destroy hard-earned positions, but we can still have fun.
So over these
Maybe
announcers,
there's a
though,
lizard
they're killing
driving
me.
a little car. Isn't that nice?
What in the
Let's
heck?
celebrate the same spirit of kart racing treachery as our next preview brings Mario Kart mayhem to PC.
That was more than I thought. But that's
Here's
good.
Stampede
My
Racing Royale.
expectations really low.
What else did we hear from that? So the PvP thing
Rewind
was
that.
interesting. Yeah, that was interesting. Looks like there was a shrine for some spirits, some
Wait, what
wisps.
time stamp is it?
I feel like I gotta
Oh,
watch
that's
it
a good
again.
question.
I know, me
Yeah.
too already.
Into the roots. So we're using a lot of.
Okay, here we
My
go.
question. Let's take a look.
All right, watching it again because we can't have enough.
Right.
Nope.
Honestly, I couldn't tell if it was in game or not in game for some of the opening
wish.
shots here.
Hopefully by the end it'll look
My
like
name is
this.
Reynir Harðarson, and I'm the game director for Pax Dei. Pax Dei is an open world fantasy game in a living, breathing world which we can call home, where it's teeming with life, mysteries, and it's for you to explore. Imagine yourself if you are living in 12th or 13th century Europe. It's a very different reality.
They
It's
showed,
where knowledge
I
has
think
been
they showed some
lost,
dungeons
it's
there
getting
too.
rediscovered. It's where magic truly exists.
There was definitely
Ghosts
no
exist,
sky
and
in
the
a couple of
myths are
those
real.
shots.
And this is kind of the inspiration we take to build. It's basically going back to the roots of what fantasy means and building a fantasy world based on real-world mythologies. And so we go very much into the roots. So we're using a lot of medieval literature and medieval bestiaries and grimoires, using real-world magic, actual recipes for healing and ointments, and using the real-world magical properties of plants.
So he said that the descriptions of things, that was another thing, the description of things should lead you in different directions.
So
Knowledge
Pax Dei,
orders
maybe
can
the
be
way
busy,
to
I'm
explain it
excited.
would be, imagine you're in this amazing, beautiful world, it's huge, and you find yourself in a forest, and your mission is to find a plot for where you start building a home. And from that home, you will go on to adventures to explore the world. So with the lore, we have wanted to create something that is fairly like deep and rich and grounded in reality, but something that is actually not a direct copy of like any of the history. So there's multiple types of ruins, there's the dungeons, and you will be able to find snippets of the lore from the eras when these were created in the game itself. And part of the like lore and mystery is also part of in the gameplay itself. So you will be able to like find and examine things and actually then find snippets that help you find other places and make items in the game itself. And the area of the game that you will be able to play when the game launches is, we're calling it Gallia, and it's very similar to the areas of the world in
So I wonder
France.
if what they're showing right now
From the Nordics
is all
where
Gallia.
we're from. So
Yes,
what we're
I
building
think so.
is we're calling it the social sandbox. We're putting the least amount
Especially
of
because the
barriers
other
to entry on
regions
how
are
you can
different
actually
terrain as
interact with
well.
other
Like I
players.
think they talked about
Where
this
most
being in
MMOs actually put a
Yeah.
lot of blocks in how you can
Anatolia
cooperate
and
with other
stuff.
players, and we're fundamentally different. So from the first minute when you start playing
So
the game,
Mary and
you will be
Carrie's
able to do everything
is
you imagine with the other players. So you can trade. Other
in
people can actually
Gallia,
help you.
right?
Yes.
You can literally go onto a like dungeon raid from the very beginning of like you starting the journey in the game. Should you find
wanted to
people
get
who
right
actually help
wording.
you to do that? What we want to create an environment that actually really incentivizes people to play the game the way they like. And for some, actually, like just going out to the wood
yeah, so
and
Gallia's
like
the
cutting
region,
down the forest
and
is
then
something
Mary
that
and Carrie
gives
is
you
like
a
the
sense of
provinces
achievement because you
within that
know
region.
the coal that you
Okay.
help in your actually is valuable for the
Interesting.
guild. Some people will absolutely prefer to just go to the dungeons. They couldn't care less about the coal production, but these players will still depend on each other. Where there's valuables to bring from the dungeon, there's valuables to bring from the forest, and even the PvP players, they will be able to produce items that are only available through the PvP, but they will depend on the other players as well.
Okay. So PvP players will be able to produce things that are only
They
for
said the opposite as well,
PvP
that PvE will also be depending for
The
on
lore of
vice
Pax Dei is very
versa.
much inspired
Yeah.
by real-world
So that's good.
folklore.
But I mean, normally
and,
PvP players are fine with
and fairy
PvE.
tales.
Yeah,
With of
Mostly
course,
the other way
giving
around.
caveat that
Yeah,
that's not
Pax
good.
Dei, this stuff is actually literally real.
Okay, so there's.
Interesting thing
I'm gonna just stop it. This
I was
is
gonna
a
say, can you do
dungeon.
like a watch along kind of thing?
Yeah.
I don't have to watch the stream as well.
Yeah. This is nuts.
I know. That's so good.
Okay. Let me just get through it
Yeah,
one
but
more time, and
folklore,
we're gonna do
so
a
is that
three-peat here.
folklore
That's
We'll
fine.
start from the
are
very
actually
beginning.
started as
I
true
say we can stop
stories,
it, but
whereas fairy tales are fiction, and that's the distinction between the two. Folklore often, handles about ghosts or spirits or some supernatural things.
Islands of
In the
Insight
eyes
right now.
of the people during those times, this is reality. This is real. Ghosts are real, and this is not disputed as any fantasy. And this is what we want to reflect. So when you're walking in the forest during night, you will find these things. You will find ghosts. You will find the spirits of of the past. And the deeper you go, the more mysterious and strange it becomes.
I wonder how much it cost. The economist in me wants to know how much it costs to rent out that castle.
If I
Oh, in the
cause
video.
any existential
Yeah.
Okay, minus. Now it's like minus something else. We're looking at minus 1230, just about.
Oh, does it change as it grows?
Yeah, as it grows, the subtraction time gets bigger. It's around 1230, so I'm ready to start it whenever you guys are. I know Phoenix is like, his keyboard's on fire right now with
I
all
know.
the
It hasn't
new
been that bad. We
players.
did get a small influx. I'm sure we'll get more as time goes on. But
Well, I forgot that
Yeah.
the time changes, and I lied in the Pax Dei chat. Trying to help.
Burn him at the stake for lying.
Just here to make his job more difficult.
Okay, let's see here. What are we working with? All right, I'm ready to start it. You guys are watching along.
Yes.
I'm like right where this guy's making a.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Get Steve Jobs off the
Let's
screen.
take a look.
Rasborg Castle ruins. Doesn't look very ruined to me.
Mm-mm.
I thought that was a cave. I just realized that that was just a window to the castle.
Oh, what's
My
it?
name is Reynir Hardarson.
Yeah.
And I'm the game director for Pax Dei. Pax Dei is an open world fantasy game in a living, breathing world which we can call home, where it's teeming with life, mysteries, and it's for you to explore. Imagine yourself if you...
I'm pausing it right here because it's the first dungeon that they show.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So moths. There are moths.
Yep.
Good morning,
Pestilence,
Doc.
pestilence, yeah,
Or
we'll call it.
afternoon. There's moths. We've got
Look at
stuff
the
walking down the back alleyway.
look at the detail on that pillar in the back. Like the
This one-
detail of the
Like things creeping
yes,
out
right
of
there.
it almost.
Yes, the thing on the
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I love
What in the hell? It's
It looks
the
like something's creeping
stonework.
out of it.
It does. It literally looks like, or it's almost like something's either creeping out of it, or it's not tree growth, is it? Like vines, like that are growing on it. Is that stonework?
I feel
I
like
can't
it's
really tell.
like the horror show type of like something's pushing out of the
Like
out of
put.
the pillar
Wait.
or whatever.
Is this a callback to Han Solo? Are they carbonite frozen?
Definitely in-game reference.
Carbonite has been confirmed in Pax Dei. Alright, I'm gonna start it again. There's definitely someone walking down that
living
hallway
in
though.
12th or 13th
Yeah, there's a
century
shadow
Europe. It's a
back
very
there.
different reality.
Yeah.
You know, it's where knowledge has been lost and it's getting rediscovered.
Got some-
It's where magic truly exists and ghosts exist. And
I like that
myths are
kind
real.
of spooky,
This is
swampy
kind of
biome.
the-
That's kind of
the
cool.
inspiration we take
Yeah,
to
me
build.
too.
It's basically
I
going
think the
back
different,
to the
yeah.
roots of what
I wonder if
fantasy
that's
means
inside the same
and
area as
building a
well.
fantasy world
Yeah.
Like
based on
Galia.
real world mythologies.
Oh yeah.
And so we go very much into the roots. So we're using a lot of medieval
Arms and armor.
literature and medieval bestiaries and grimoires using real world magic.
Okay, I'm pausing it here too.
Medieval beast series.
Yeah, I heard the grimoire thing as well. Let me see if I can get it
Yes.
back to right here. Whiteboards are always fun. So this is just
Yes.
more looks like it's art direction.
Mm-hmm.
Real world
Yep.
magic.
Nothing
actual
more
recipes
exciting
for
than
healing
art
and
direction.
ointments, and
Houses.
using the real world magical
Look
properties
at that.
of
1, 2,
plants.
3 stories. There's
Yeah,
some stairs.
3
there.
stories.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
we roll
I'm
magical
the
properties of
chief product
plants.
officer at Mainframe Industries.
Recipes for
So Pax Dei,
healing.
maybe the way
Yes.
to explain it would be: imagine you're in this amazing, beautiful world. It's huge, and you find yourself.
I'm pausing it here now too. So this is, where are they standing? Because we haven't seen this kind of building tile either. I don't think, like the broken
like the-
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dilly even said, Dilly was like, that balcony looked sketchy. Yeah, it definitely does. I don't know. It kind of looks like it's overlooking something.
forest, and your mission is to find a plot for
But I don't-
you start building a home. And from that home,
I don't see
you will go on
anything that I've
adventures to
recognized
explore
from
the
any other
world.
trailers
So
there,
with the
though.
I know.
lore,
It's hard to tell.
we have wanted to create something that is fairly like deep and rich and grounded in reality, but something that is actually not a direct copy of like any of the history. So there's multiple types of ruins. There's
I
the-
pause it right here, actually. Mondra, thank you for the sub or follow. Thank you for the follow. welcome. I can't wait for it either. So this is definitely a castle. It looks like, or a broken up castle.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that same kind of swampy area. I wonder if the dungeon
and you will be able to find snippets of the
is kind of
lore
in that
from the
area or
areas
something
within
like
these
that. I have no idea.
In the
Could
game
be, yeah.
itself.
Law of
And
Chaos,
part of the,
welcome,
like, lore and mystery
fellow
is also
consumer.
part of
Thanks for the
game
follow.
They talked
itself,
about ruins
so
and
you will
dungeons
be
right
able
before
to
they looked up
like
at that
find and
castle.
examine
So
things and actually
Yeah.
find
Yep.
snippets
So it's
that
probably
help
just
you find other
inferring its
places and
ruins.
make items in
Good
the game
point.
itself. And the area
seen
of
the
game
mushroom
that you will
already?
be able to play
Yeah.
when the game
They-
launches
they've shown
I'm
this
excited.
mushroom
with Gallia,
multiple
which is
times.
very similar to the areas
It makes me
feeling
think
like
this
they have
mushroom.
each other.
Yeah.
With the
Basic.
influences from
Alright, I'm gonna
others.
pause it.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Oh.
This one right
Yeah,
here is-
I'm rolling this one back a bit. We're going right here.
in southern France.
Yeah, they said
Okay.
in southern France
With
has
the
been
influences
placed
from the
as
north.
Gallia.
I'm digging the armor that everyone's wearing here too.
Me too. It looks so good. Look at the reflections on it. You can see like, oh, it's so
You
pretty.
can, I think you can see the
Detail.
other people
You can, you
and
can
the
see
buildings. There's a
Yeah.
freaking building right there. Like,
awesome.
actually, what the hell?
How many? So there's that one person. Was there somebody else in the background?
Yep.
there?
Yeah, they passed that. Another person too.
Let's see here.
In southern France.
Someone standing up there. You're talking about top right.
Oh yeah, there's another. Oh no, there's two people back there. So the guy that's
Holy-
walking towards us, but there's
Yep.
one, two
Oh,
in
and then
the background there.
over there too. Yeah.
So that's the most we've seen, I think, at one time.
Yeah.
With
At least
the
moving.
influences
Yeah,
from
there's
the
one
Nordics where
inside
people
this
from.
building
So
right
the
here
building
too.
is, we're calling it the social sandbox. We're putting the
I like
least amount
how
of barriers to entry on
People
how
are
you can
are
actually
walking
interact with
around a
other
lot.
players.
I wonder
Most
if there
MMOs actually
is something to
put
do
a lot of
with
blocks
like
in how
stamina
you can cooperate
conservation
with other
or
players
something like that.
and
Kind of like
Yeah.
So from the first minute
some
when you start playing the game,
like Star
you will
Citizen.
be
I'm gonna
able
pause
to
it here too because this
It
is
could
a
also be
scenic
like
view.
a walking button too. Like there's a lot of walk buttons you can.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I wonder like if they have a scroll wheel, kind of like Star Citizen, where you choose your speed, you slow down and you speed up, or if it's just gonna be like a toggle
do
thing, like you
everything
said.
imagine with the other players. So you
Well,
can
they did
say,
say
other
going to
people
the
can
sacred
actually help
text.
you. You can literally go into
Stamina
a
management
dungeon
is
raid
definitely going to be
from
part of the
very
game.
beginning
So
of,
yeah,
like,
I
starting
can
the
see
Yeah.
journey in the game.
Oh, it's
Should you
so
find
good
people who actually
looking.
help you to do that?
That's how far you
What
can
we
see
want to
too.
create
You
an
can see,
environment
but
that
you can see
actually
buildings that far
incentivizes
as well.
people to play the game
And
the
that's
way they
have
want.
they because it's
And for
UE5,
some, actually,
right?
like, just going out to the
yeah.
I'm
The
gonna
guy
pause
at
it
the
on this.
beginning said UE6, but they've said several times UE 5.1. I think is really where they're at.
I
Yeah.
couldn't tell if he was joking because it was like real life or not.
Oh, okay, maybe I missed that part then.
I don't know. You can't read that guy.
Yeah, it's like
I
no,
think
dude, it's 5.1.
so. 5.1 doesn't have nanite on foliage yet, right?
I think it did. I think that's what 5.1 added. But I am not an expert in UE5 or
I don't
UE
know.
at all.
Yeah, maybe someone in chat knows, but I was under the impression that UE 5.2 is nanite. It now includes trees, so like the far off view distance stuff was still kind of flat, but nanite already includes all of the more generalized like telemetries and like ground textures and stuff like that. So like the different mountains and stuff. I'm actually going to go back to that scenic shot that they gave. So like right here, like we can see that mountain all the way off in the distance, and we can see all of the different polygons and stuff there. But then to me, it almost looks like the trees kind of dip off after a certain point, and that's because LOD.
Yeah.
So if they're on 5.1 and I'm correct, and I don't know if I'm correct or not, so take it with a grain of salt. But if 5.2 is nanite for like foliage and trees and stuff like that, then if they swap it to 5.2, imagine what, like, we'll be able to see the trees like we see in the closer LOD even further off. That is going to be insane. It's going to be so nuts.
Other people can actually help you. You can literally go onto a like dungeon raid.
Yeah,
from
so
the
this
very
seems like
beginning of, like, you starting the
a version
journey
2 of the
in game.
announcement trailer.
Should you find
Yeah.
people who actually help you to do
You know,
that?
I don't know.
What we want to
I
create
don't know
an
that I saw a
environment
whole lot
that actually really
of
incentivizes people to play the
New,
game
like,
they like.
yeah, new things. I
And
love
for
the
some,
setting, like
actually,
just the fact that they went to
going
the
out
castle is like
wood
super
and,
neat.
like, cutting
Yeah.
down the forest is something that
That's
gives
awesome.
you a sense of
I wanna go to that
achievement.
castle.
You know
But I mean, you know,
what
we
the
could
reviews
you could
actually has
probably
value for the guild.
pick it
Some
apart with a
people will
fine-tooth comb and say,
absolutely
"Oh yeah,
prefer
we
to
haven't
just go
seen
to
these types of
dungeons. They
trees
couldn't care
before."
less about the
Or,
guild.
Yeah.
you know, we haven't seen like this one right
These
here.
players will still depend
You know,
on
the
each
ruins
other,
we probably haven't
but there's
seen
valuables
those
to bring
specific
from the
ruins yet.
dungeon,
Right.
there's
I really
valuables
like
to
it
bring
though.
from the forest, and even the PvP players, they will be able to produce items that are only available through the PvP, but they will depend
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the other
they-
players as well.
They pretty much just restated what things they've already said in the Discord before, but nothing that. Not some things that they said in videos at least.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
The lore of Pax Dei is very much inspired by real-world folklore, and
I know other people might not be the most happy about it and their focus on
in Pax Dei, this stuff is actually
lore in that way. I'm gonna pause it on
interesting-
this dungeon shot too. But I think considering that it's a sandbox and they focus so much on lore up to this point,
Mhm.
that's actually kind of a good sign, because if they were a sandbox just focusing on like, this is our gameplay loop and gameplay systems, then when you have a bunch of systems, that's great. But if there's no lore, there's no reason for you to explore and get excited about the game, then maybe there's like, it might not be as great of an experience to kind of be called out to explore. So having a primary incentive of lore to go and explore in addition to the sandbox gameplay systems, I feel
you
like
gotta start somewhere.
Exactly.
Of course, they said that it's placed in medieval fantasy, but you kind of gotta give your players some kind of history of that, because they personally don't know medieval history, I'm sure. Plus, again, this is a parallel universe, so it's parallel medieval, so you do need to know some specific medieval history for this game specifically. And I think they've played that out pretty well so far, without it being like, this is where you'll be in the game. It's like, oh no, these are things that have happened like in the past, and there's things that happened even longer in the past, but those things aren't things you have to worry about as far as affecting you, unless you're going out and searching for it and trying to like look into all that.
Yeah. And on this dungeon shot, the things that we saw on those pillars, that's definitely stone. It's 100% stone. And it looks like there's a body trying to crawl out of that for sure.
I like that.
That is for sure trying to crawl out. How terrifying would it be if they like spawned out of pillars? They're just like molding out of it. I would freak out. I'm not gonna lie, I would freak out.
There's a free tip for you, Pax Dei devs.
There you go.
If you don't do that already, you should do it.
Yep. Just put that in the suggestion jar right there. But okay, so this is the dungeon again. So the dungeon that they've shown us looks like it's 100% Zebian, right? Like these are all those like
Zebians.
Yeah,
so there's
Zebian
guys on the outside and on the inside.
Yeah. So that maybe the guys that we saw on the outside are creeping out, because one of the lore posts that they said was like, and they're coming out of the dungeon, kind of creeping into the outside world or something like that.
They also mentioned that it was swampy in that post as well, so I think that that has to do as well with like the different kind of trees and the more marshy vibe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is not disputed as any fantasy, and this is what we want to.
Okay, so, I want to see
night, you will find
this wisp.
Things. You will find ghosts, you will find
so
spirits of the past.
And there's little like fireflies out at night too.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
I wonder if the fireflies are like
at night.
Yeah, leading you somewhere or something
just
like
those
that.
Those little things all together.
I know. I don't care if night's even more dangerous. I'm about to be out at nighttime all the time doing crazy shit.
And it looks like we're gonna get a 5-peat on watching this trailer, because I just can't get enough of it.
I know.
And also, I really don't want to watch Steve Jobs knockoff again.
Where
did it go?
Check out, I'll check it out later.
Yeah, exactly. It's like total bait and switch. We're like, yeah, guys, come and watch. We'll do a watch party of the whole thing. And I'm like, nah, F that. We're just watching Pax Days over and over and over.
We watched some of it leading up to that, I'd say.
Yeah, we like one thing. I mean, honestly, do you want to deal with the Steve Jobs?
No. Most people came here for Pax Day. That's what they're here for.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're streaming directly to Pax Day's Twitch side of things, so
I'm the game director for Pax Dei.
It is what it is.
It's an open world fantasy game in a living, breathing.
But I think you're right, Phoenix. I feel like I feel like this is kind of like dev announcement 2.0.
It's a very different reality. It's where knowledge
it makes me wonder, like, if you could pause real quick so we don't keep going forward.
Yeah.
So I truly think that Mainframe didn't expect the volume of members like so early on. Like, I think it just exploded, and I think they've even said that a couple of times now. Like, it was just so this feels like it was kind of a large. It should have been a larger lead up to something where we would now start seeing the influx of players. But I think we already got that.
Yeah. It's just, I definitely think they were like, oh, we need to up their time scale. They were thinking, yeah, we'll do a splash in the water announcement in March. and we'll
That's
do
why I
more
think
of
it's
like
been mostly lore drops since then, because they haven't really had much else to show people.
And
planned
honestly, lore drops in terms of what gets done first. Like your lore person is constantly writing new stuff. I feel like
Amrun said like years ago they were already
Right.
mapping out things like ley lines and stuff for the world. Like they already had this way planned out before.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would love to see those notes.
Yeah.
Right. Save it.
Yeah. Please. Where's the napkin? It's like the total what was it? Like 90% of all the Pixar movies were written on a napkin from a company retreat, like in the 1990s.
Yeah,
It finally ran out.
in a short amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna keep it going here.
It truly exists, and ghosts exist, and the myths are real. And this is kind of the inspiration we take to build. It's basically going back to the roots of what fantasy means and building a fantasy world based on real world.
And kind of based on
we go very much into the roots.
their talking points, I do feel like they might have filmed this pretty like back to back too. Because a lot of their talking points are very similar when they're actually sharing stuff.
The real world magical properties of plants.
Magical property, real world magical properties of plants.
So I wonder, he said grimoires. I wonder if that means that like we can get books, and do you hold on to the book and you get access to spells? Like,
well, grimoire doesn't necessarily,
or you just read it and learn it. Oh yeah, I mean it could just be for any skill or
or just
anything like that, right?
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, the way they've spoken about books and like the things they've mentioned about like being able to scribe down book stuff from other texts and stuff. Let me look at my they said like books could even be copied skillfully or not so skillfully. Special facilities should make working with books more effective.
That's gonna be so cool.
I hope it.
It's a whole industry.
Yeah, they're like owning a good library should be impressive. Books should be an element of economy. Books should be crafting. Books should be involved in appointment play. That's crazy to think about. That means they're gonna be just writing everything down.
Right.
I mean, imagine like how much. Manny, you might know this. How many pages a day did like George R.R. Martin or like
I wish I did. No idea.
or like the average like pages per day? And imagine starting in 2019, so that's basically 4 years ago, writing like even if it's 5 pages a day, 10 pages a day, and you work 200 days a year.
Well, and so that's like 2019 is when they officially started,
right? But if
some
they
of
were,
these folks have been around for, they've been planning this for whatever. I think they said 20 years in the announcement trailer. So some of these,
Lord,
depending on who is actually in charge of lore, some of this could be 20 years in the making already.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
which makes sense.
That before they even started. Before the company even got together, they were working on as far as like some of the concept stuff. I don't know how much it was official, but they were already working on it. So I was like, well, that's good to know that at least the lore is really solid. What we have so far.
Yeah. Those are one of the founders in that screen.
Yeah.
Mainframe icon is very interesting.
I know, right? Like, it's the main frame.
With
Oh.
of course the in Pax Dei, this stuff is actually literally real.
So it almost looks like the wall has blood all over it in that dungeon. That is intimidating.
Yeah. Your Aurora Borealis.
So there's got to be. It looked like the ruins were on top of that mountain.
Yeah,
I just
I'm
noticed
gonna
that.
roll that back. I just saw that as well.
At nighttime, yeah.
See here, boom. Yeah, because my eyes automatically, just like Amanda said,
went up to the
yeah, Aurora Borealis. Let's go.
Well, that's nighttime, so all the stones is
Yeah.
the same, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like stream quality. So eventually, when they publish this video on YouTube, we'll be able to like zoom in on some of this YouTube stuff. But that is a actually very large ruin. Like just looking at it, because you have the thing on top, right?
Yeah.
Like a main tower, but then I kind of see walls that are going all the way down here.
Yeah, the
Right.
fortress, it's like a large fortress of some sort.
And the other castle that we saw is completely different.
Yep.
Because there would be buildings. We saw buildings like where the castle walls were before, didn't we? I'm pretty sure. And that's where we were like, oh yeah, there's.
Yeah, I think there's a different time where they showed us similar.
Yeah, because like
Castle
there was
Beacon,
where we first saw the Zebians, right? And that was during the daytime. I think I have the picture somewhere. Maybe. Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. It was like the first
12th or 13th century Europe. Knowledge has been lost and getting rediscovered. That's my favorite part.
I'm trying to find the.
I like they're trying to like start over with fantasy. They think fantasy got too high, and they're trying to think of it as more low. Like we're trying to ground it in real world history.
Okay, yeah, this is the one. This is the picture. Okay, so this is
nice.
This is the castle that we've seen before, and there are definitely Zebians there.
Mm.
So if this person's taking the hold on. Okay, here's the wood. Here's the wood. That sketchy balcony that Dilly saw.
Oh yeah, I see it.
So maybe that was them viewing from like a castle battlement or something like that. I don't know. But this is okay. Well, maybe this is the same one, and this is like just a lower view of it.
Could be.
I don't know, because from the angle that's on the
this was. There was another screenshot in that gallery that was like the opposite view.
Yeah. Let me see if I have it.
I like how historically accurate they're aiming to be, because even they said they want real world magic and real world recipes for healing and ointments and other stuff like that. So they're really trying to draw from real world inspiration as much as possible.
Okay, so here's the other angle.
Flare.
This is different.
Nice. Yeah,
this
I think
one's
that's
for sure different.
Because it's not even the same shape.
But for sure there's a balcony on this tower thing right here.
Yeah, wait, so this is a ruin that's inside of a Heartlands then, right? Since they're building near it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it would be. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So it's probably not like this can't be Zebians then, I'd assume. Unless there is a lot of PvE inside the Heartlands. Because they just
maybe they're
PvP. They didn't say it's totally no violence within the Heartlands.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we've seen them definitely in the Heartlands before, like killing animals.
Sure.
So it means at least you can die in the.
But even in this photo, is all these buildings player buildings, or are these buildings you're finding in the world? Because those look kind of run down.
There's some that look run down. Like, there's definitely ones that have, like, I think I tried looking at this before. I can't enhance. I don't have the FBI secret technology to enhance. But this right here almost looks like, because if you noticed in all the screenshots that they showed us, these were all kind of revolving in the same area, it seemed like.
Oh, sure.
A lot of the houses did. So when I was looking at it, originally, I think like the first shot that they had, this one right here, where it was the house and the bridge, there was several other images of different angles. Like right here is another one, but at nighttime. Of that house. Here is another one at a different angle of that same house. Wait, is this the one that they walked by in the? I don't know. That looks similar.
At closer inspection, all the buildings kind of look a little like not run down, but not good painted.
Yeah.
So I assume that these are all player buildings then. But it's crazy you can build so close to a Zebian castle.
Wait, this is the city that they walked through in the trailer. that we just saw.
Nice.
Because this is the staircase right here. And all the crafting stations, the two little smelter things right there. And they must have walked.
This is so gets me so excited.
Yeah, because they walked. Okay, so let's look at the map of the town. This is the map of the town. So they started off right here somewhere, and they walked this way. Here's the place with the double doors and all of that. There's the staircase. There's some players up there. And then they walked this way towards over here. Okay.
It seems pretty easy to build at least 2 stories.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like much structural support is needed.
Yeah. There's definitely some tricks that are being done in the building too, it looks like.
Oh, that looks so
good. Spire mentioned they did turn off the structural integrity checks because there's some bugs. So
there might some of this might fall apart.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
I would hope that's not just for the one bug pictures they posted. That's sad.
Okay, so then hold up. Okay, here's an LOD issue then, right here then. Because so from the castle view, we could see, where was the castle view? I think it was 11. Yeah. So we can see what looks to be that same city over here.
Yes.
And this is on a mountain. But then when we look at the city view, that castle it's just a flat mound.
Yep.
So that tells me that some of this stuff is like not like they don't have the nanite stuff for it. Because that would totally, like, the player building is for sure showing. And that makes sense that you'd have nanite on the player buildings, because otherwise your performance would just get shot out if you had a lot of buildings.
Do you think it's mostly related to performance then? I mean, because obviously we're still in pre-alpha, alpha, whatever.
Yeah.
That's actually one thing I called out in one of the videos I made was somebody in Discord was like, oh, they probably just put it there after the screenshots were taken. I'm like, well, it'd be kind of weird to take a screenshot of just flat ground, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when in the same frame or in the same package of screenshots, like they have this just from the opposite view. So I definitely think it's an LOD issue.
Yeah.
Again, maybe performance related, but
yeah, no, I definitely, I agree. Lucky Like HD, thank you for the sub. Welcome, consumer. Yeah, it's definitely, this is it. Yeah, I think it's an LOD thing, because
it's a lot of chests.
It's well, so that's the thing.
Oh my gosh!
Like you have enough resources to show 40 million chests on the same screenshot, but then the giant structure that's off in the distance doesn't. So I feel like that implies that there's a difference between the two structures. So one of them is for sure like the player structures have to be, it just makes sense. It makes sense because like the nanite, I think I watched a video a while back that Jakari, thanks for the follow. The video was like it was showing nanite in a forest, and then it was showing a forest without nanite, and how performance didn't just like get better or sustain itself. It actually improved frame rates when you use nanite based on how like the geometries are being calculated or something like that. So I mean, it makes sense that you can, all these boxes are being processed using a completely different system in the game, and they just haven't configured all the other stuff.
Some trees are like poking through some of the buildings.
Yeah, well, that one they did answer that they had an issue in this alpha build where if players were building on top of stuff, the like item, or not item spawners, but the like resource spawners in the game weren't detecting it right or something like that. So then stuff was spawning like on top of other things. So like the tree spawning on him.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it looks like there's places for rowboats, and I don't know about bigger boats.
For like even just smaller boats would be so cool, like a fishing vessel, like a small
Iron
rowboat.
Oceans is salivating.
I know.
Wuglet's
Yes.
ears are burning right now, and he doesn't know why. He's like, boats? Where are the boats?
Right.
But I mean, just look at how much water is in this screenshot. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. It would be weird if they didn't add some sort of water transportation. Like, we're not talking
Yeah.
a big, big old galleon or vessel or whatever. But I mean, yeah, something small like a rowboat.
Yeah,
Or
or-
whatever the equivalent is of the an old rowboat.
Fruity
yeah.
Sleuth's like, I heard boats, give me my boat.
Right.
It's just gonna be so difficult, I think, because even in like Minecraft and similar sandbox games, people will definitely abuse the boat system.
Yeah.
Create like bridges of boats or like blockades of boats and stuff like that.
That's true. That's true. Especially if there is this much water in wherever PvP would be enabled. Just
True.
the potential for that. Ugh.
And like,
Yeah, even
also,
people building bridges and walls across waterways so people.
yeah,
can't
I was
pass.
just looking at that. Like, the bridge right here, it has supports like every couple of, like, what looks to be every unit or every
Right.
Yeah,
like,
you have to make it
placement of
taller
four.
if you were
It'd have to
hoping
be for sure taller. Like,
if people were to sail under it at least.
exactly. Unless it's a tiny rowboat. I mean, if it's a rowboat.
Yeah, you just do the
Personally,
limbo.
I just pop a hole in it and flip it upside down, do like a Jack Sparrow,
Yes.
Will Turner, go underneath the water in a physics defined method of
Altari being the
movement.
first submarine in Pax Dei.
Yeah.
Yes.
The confirmed first medieval submarine granted to me by the divine. All right, let's go back to I just accidentally flipped to the live one on Twitch, and I
Oh,
saw
God.
Steve Jobs, and I scattered to get him off the screen again.
True
I'm gonna
stories,
start it again.
whereas fairy tales are
Okay,
fairy
and now I have to pause it because I want to talk about taming. I want to talk about taming because I want to tame.
Yes.
I love little like NPC friends that can follow me around.
Definitely.
But do you all think that we can tame bears?
I mean, they did say that animals are an integral part of gameplay. They want to create a world that feels alive.
And we know that, at least from the first trailer, we know that there's like a mule or a horse, some kind of pack animal that was carrying their gear. I don't remember.
I could see bears because I mean, in similar games like Mortal Online 2, they have bears as like a mount, or at least something that you can tame and load up with a bunch of bags or whatever. I could
Oh my
definitely see
gosh.
something similar as like a battle pet or something, or even a mounted pet you could mount, but potentially
Yeah.
not. I don't know.
It would
I don't think
be
it's too crazy. I mean, we're not out here taming minotaurs to ride or anything. It's just a bear.
Right.
It's
right.
just a bear. People tame bears in real life and have
Yeah,
for a lot of
it's true.
time. So
It's real.
like
yeah.
reference
exactly.
like thousands of years of Russian history, I think, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen The Great. She has 2 bears on that, right?
Yeah. Well, so we've seen a bear, we've seen a wolf.
Yeah. We've seen
I think
deer.
A deer, we've seen boar. We
Boar.
haven't seen the rabbit yet.
No.
Which, other than the announcement trailer, like I want to see that guy.
Yeah, I would like to see more enemies that aren't Zebians at this point now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then
Like
we just
giant.
saw the
menacing
giant
them.
guys for the first time in
Oh,
the
yeah.
screenshot gallery too. So those
The-
guys were new.
The super big boys,
Yes.
that were chasing the bear that was chasing the player.
Oh yeah. I meant like less humanoid, I guess. Maybe that was what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
like I know which one you're talking about. Like the super creepy tall monster thingy that was
Yeah,
in
sure.
the announcement
great.
trailer. Yeah, that one would be terrifying. Have we seen any of the like smoky, like spooky guys at all? Like they said, in the lore post when we had the winged guy.
Oh,
You know,
Dark Lord,
the
presumably.
dark, is that the Dark Lord, presumably? So have we
I-
seen any other like demons yet? I don't think we have, right?
I think that the rabbit is some kind of demon thing.
I
Oh,
would agree,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely
I mean,
think
it makes
this
sense.
is the shadowiness of it. It just really fits in, I feel.
And there was in the trailer too, when I say like the smoky guy, I mean the one glimpse of combat with swords we saw. There was the smoky. I don't. It says Smokey. That's what he is. Smokey the bear.
Smokey.
Only you can prevent forest fires. Yeah, they haven't shown any of those either.
Often, handles about ghosts or spirits or
there's so many more questions and so much more I want to know.
I know, right? Here's a nice river shot in the mountains, it looks like, or in
I believe that's probably nearby some bad place because the trees are dying and dead. So I'd assume it's some kind of marshy swamp thing where they mentioned the tower was happening.
Lore-wise, does that maybe mean that if there is like a dungeon nearby as players, we might be able to get hints to that based on, we see this kind of mob, like we see Zebians that are kind of creeping around now, and the trees are kind of not alive anymore. So that means it might be cues that we should be looking around and exploring around, maybe to find some hole somewhere, and that's where they're kind of creeping out from, kind of thing, maybe.
I could see that because, definitely even the terrain being different, like dying, quote unquote. Yep. Also, speaking of the screenshots, the one where there's like another player character named Pink in the middle of some giant green and pink creature. What is that? Is that a flower plant creature thing?
I found this out. Okay. Do you want to hear the answer to this? Because it's a lot less creative than I wanted it to be, even.
My assumption in the video I made was that it was some sort of a texture issue.
Yeah. So here's the one that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Where whoever Pink is, the poor soul known as Pink, is missing a majority of their face, their facial structure. Okay, so note the colors that are on here, and then let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. It's gonna be here somewhere. So I'm looking for the part where the person is walking around. They're looking at the mushrooms. Where's the mushrooms? Getting pretty close. Here it is. Okay.
And actually then find snippets that help you find.
Go back a bit.
And part
there we go.
lore and mystery is
okay.
Also part of
so in this shot, see how they're wearing like purpley green kind of cloth?
Yeah.
Yep.
So when I was looking at it, to me, and also this person looks like they're wearing something similar, but I don't know. You tell me. This looks gray, like whatever they're wearing kind of looks gray. But this one right here, this god-awful monstrosity known as Pink, the poor soul Pink the poor soul with the exploded texture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like whatever happened, like their clothing that they were supposed to be wearing exploded, but it still held the cloth like physics to it, so it kind of like flopped on the ground. That's what it looks like to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Like this is the neck part of the torso, and then this is the bottom part right here, and where the arms would come out, and that's where the kind of the holes are, and then they're kind of just stuck in the middle, crying about their lack of existence at this point.
It's also interesting to note that they don't have to have crafting tables covered.
In the game.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in Valheim, similar games.
What we want to create an environment that actually really incentivizes.
Yeah, well, so I wonder if that's how they're doing their equipment. Like if that's an equipment system kind of thing, then like the texture, because in Valheim, like they're pasting a texture. When you change your armor, it really doesn't change your like character geometry or the polygons on your character too much, and it's a lot of just the texture being pasted over like your character. As opposed to this, where it actually feels like they're creating like physics that are simulated on the player character in some way. some kind of UE5 sorcery.
Real world folklore and fairy tales. With, of course, the caveat.
And okay, I'm pausing it at the wisp part. So, what do you all think this wisp is now that we've seen it like 30 times?
I mean,
in every announcement.
Go ahead, Mana.
No, I think it's gonna be a bad omen. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna lead you to something. We'll say valuable, but I don't think it's quote unquote good. I think it'll be a bad thing you have to face before you get anything good out of it. Personally,
Phoenix, what do you think?
So I think he was like following it. So I don't know if it's. I was trying to think of what was it. I don't know. It's gone now. Other than like, I think he's following it for some reason. So I don't know if he's, maybe this is taking him to some sort of another like magical location. But I don't know. I get it. It's hard to get away from the blue feeling of like comfort and safe. And so that's what I think of, I guess.
So we know there's several different like sources of magic, right, from their magic post.
sure.
Yep.
So there's like divine, nature,
Shamanic.
yeah, druidic, shamanic. Which one's the one that's connected to spirit, or is it just called spirit? Or like spiritual, not
Shamanic
spiritual.
is more is spirit.
Spirit
magic,
based, yeah.
Druidic taps into life force, which is a special creation of creation itself, where it became the elements mixed with spirit created life force, which is what druidic magic is.
Right, and druidic magic is completely separate from the divine, right? Because it's like,
Yes.
which one? That one's completely separate.
Unsensible. Yeah, that one's unsensible from demonic or divine magic.
Okay, and then divine magic is technically what every human in Pax Dei has, because they're a byproduct. It's a byproduct of the creation, which was done by the divine, unless you're a Sethian.
True. Well, that's the fun part about divine and demonic magic. It's pretty much just two sides of the same coin. So it's just spirit magic in general. It's just depending on how you're using it. I think that it gets framed as demonic or divine.
So then, would this wisp be?
Oh, I definitely think it's druidic.
Druidic?
Oh, actually, now that you mention that, it could be shamanic. Just in the
Shamanic?
fact that it's a spirit, perhaps.
Right. But then that kind of ties in. Like, what if it's okay, I think we might have found something out here. What if this is like one of those anglerfish?
Some sort of mechanism like an anglerfish.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
it's
kind of how
dangling.
wisps, like acted in the past. They would lure people off into like more
So it's
mischief.
like-
That's the thing. Is like I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're good. I think they're more mischievous, and that is
Yeah.
the interpreters. Whoever's
Right,
interpreting
right.
it to decide if it's good or bad for them.
Yeah. No, I could see that. Yeah, no, that's
so much
Oh, it also
speculation.
says, I know, but shamanic magic says shamanic magic uses spirit beings within the natural world to manipulate life force directly. That has no direct effect on the elements of creation. As one might expect, this type of magic does not go unnoticed among the supernatural powers. So I believe that this would be more shamanic, like a spirit being of the natural world.
yeah. So then it would kind of make sense, since it doesn't have effect on the natural world, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's trying to lure you, like you said,
Yep.
Yeah.
to somewhere where it does have an effect, and kind of like the anglerfish type of thing. It's giving you a pretty light, you should come follow. It's beckoning you to go follow it, and then you go find that crazy, the rabbit, right?
Yes.
It's just waiting for you. It's like, actually, I'm not a tree.
Awesome.
Phoenix, I know you have to head out. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before you headed out?
No, I'm super excited.
So much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know we touched on a couple of things. I think the last thing I will say, going way back to the storage conversation, that's one of the things that I think is a pet peeve of mine, is seeing so many different storage chests just in the screenshots we've already seen. So I'm hoping this is a work in progress. Like, let's just get a storage function working, and then we'll refine it as we go. But there was one screenshot in the gallery that was I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so many stations. There's so much, there's so much stuff there. I'm like, oh, I hope this isn't going to be like just station spam everywhere.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I feel like it definitely will, though.
Yeah.
Valheim.
Right.
The
exactly.
doing stations everywhere for like building and like getting your craft started. Once you've kind of mastered it, you get to refine it and place it in better spots, hopefully.
Right, which is that's exactly the point. Is there's a lot of inspiration, I feel like, from what little we've seen from Valheim already. So I've only just started playing Valheim because of Pax Dei. I bought it because there was some inspiration from it. So I'm like, oh, this is I can see some of the parallels here. So it's interesting.
Well, technically, they said that they started building it before Valheim even
Right.
launched their beta. So they were really working on it before that, and they said they just happened to come to similar conclusions as far as gameplay styles, which of course they've probably borrowed from somewhere else as well, and nothing's original anymore. So
Right. Yep.
The one thing that I would like to see from that in that regard, with all of the, different stations that we've seen and seemingly overlapping stations as well, as I think we've both noted in videos that we've put out now, is to go to more in the direction of like Valheim, where you have a station that seems to grow as you're leveling up your crafting skill, and gets bigger and adds to more of the ambiance around it. But there's also the gameplay mechanic of like space economy. Like you have to have not like Elon Musk in outer space, but like you have
the space well.
Exactly. You have a limited amount of space to actually do stuff in because you have a plot that has a limited area. So you have to make actual player choice. There's player decisions that have to go into where you're placing things, how you're placing things. And obviously there will be efficient ways to place things, but even then you shouldn't be able to, in my opinion, be able to place 100% of all of the crafting, equipment that you'd ever need in one plot, because then why should I play with other players?
I agree with that. I feel like I'm pulling out a little bit of something Lethality said a while back, was that he would love, or they would love to see an entire building. Like you have to place some sort of a placeholder piece that then converts like, a 4x4 box into a blacksmith or something. I think that'd be interesting, because it would further contribute to that like space utilization. But also the social aspect of like, well, if you want to be a blacksmith, you have to have this type of a building built or this much space for it. But then you'd also have to be relying on somebody else to, provide other materials. But
right.
Sure. I like the idea that they said that you can make blueprints for other people. So if somebody is good at building and like does have a very good utilization of space and like structure and ideas of stuff, that's great. They can then sell like their perfectly made blueprint to people who want like an easy to make, blacksmith without having to actually put the time and effort and design creativity into
easy bake blacksmith.
Exactly. I like the idea of that. So then builders actually get a place in this.
Oh man, I have to leave, but there is another video. I think it's a longer video. You'll have to watch it.
Is it?
So, Tab just posted something in the Discord, and I'm just like super fast scrolling through it. There's different pieces of video we didn't watch. It's like 18 minutes long, so you'll have to tear that one apart while I'm gone.
Here we go.
Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, it's 18 minutes. Okay. Well, here we go.
Well, yeah. Feel free
Thanks,
to drop
Phoenix.
me off. This was a good time. Take care. Nice to chat with you guys. This was fun.
Thanks for joining us. If anyone is wondering, Phoenix has a YouTube channel as well. It's Phoenix on YouTube. You should search him. Subscribe to him. He posts content a lot of the time, exclusively so far about Pax Day. So you should totally check it out. Yes. Phoenix, thanks for joining us.
All right. Take care.
All right. Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. You ready, Mana?
Yes.
Here it goes.
What is it gonna be?
Like 30, time number 30.
This is a different one though, right?
Yes. In theory.
My name is Reynir Harðarson, and I'm the game director for Pax Dei. Pax Dei is an open world fantasy game in a living, breathing world which we can call home, where it's teeming with life, mysteries, and it's for you to explore. Imagine yourself if you are living in 12th or 13th century Europe. It's a very different reality. You know, it's where knowledge has been lost and it's getting rediscovered. It's where magic truly exists.
It is 18 minutes, but I don't know.
And this is kind of the
I think that's just how
inspiration
long
we
it
take to build it.
Nope, there's more. There's more.
To the roots of what fantasy means.
I just scrubbed through it. There's more.
Based on real world mythologies. So we go very much into the roots. So we're using a lot of medieval literature.
Unless they stitch two things together, it might be like a...
I think they cut out the middle part, yeah, and for the
recipes for
showcase.
healing and ornaments, and using the real world magical properties of plants.
Let's see.
I'm Sokara. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Mainframe Industries. So Pax Dei, maybe the way to explain it would be, imagine you're in this amazing, beautiful world, and you find yourself in a forest, and your mission is to find
Hey, this quality is a lot better than the
and from that home,
PC gamer quality that was there.
The core of what you're doing as a player.
I'm happy about
not
that.
Only are you building that home yourself,
I wish they would post
you will actually find other
the music
to build a whole village and do the adventures together and improve
for this. Okay, so see here's
so
Jasmine, mainframe.
All of this in this social fashion, and really cooperate with other players rather than doing it alone. And seeing other people building similar villages and cities and being able to go to them and trade and do all of the social interaction you ever imagined you would be able to do the game. So with the lore, we have wanted to create something that is fairly like deep and rich and grounded in reality, but something that is actually not a direct copy of like any of the history. So there's multiple types of ruins, there's the dungeons, and you will be able to find snippets of the lore from the eras when these were created in the game itself. And part of the lore and mystery is also part of in the gameplay itself. So you will be able to find and examine things and actually
they've got longer stuff. I just see where it's stitched together.
Places and make items in the game itself. And the area of the game that you will be able to play when the game launches is we're calling it Gallia, and it's very similar to the areas of the world in southern France, with the influences from the Nordics where we're from. The development team were mostly Europeans. Obviously, we are living
influence from the Nordics,
Europe, where there's a lot of culture and lots of historical influences around us. So we're here in this 14th century castle shooting this, and actually I've been coming here multiple times, and like seeing the evolution and history of Europe is obviously had a massive influence in how we've made the game, where all the items, like all of the nature, is something we actually seen in Europe, and so we want to reflect this.
That church,
very medieval,
Colin,
in the game.
The ideal medieval world or medieval, fantastical medieval world. It's inspired by real world. The first region we are working with now is inspired by France. We call the region Gallia, and at the time, maybe 13th century, this is a very central point of Europe. So we're very much using the forests and the natural elements of southern France or the Pyrenees currently.
There's a deer.
And this means that the flora is authentic in the sense of the combination of flowers and
the Divine Pizza Church. Let's go. The Church of the Divine Pizza.
Thousands of years of lore building, which we have in folklore and mythologies and and religions, and we build it straight into the game.
I like the real world
find something in the game.
It's
highly likely that this thing.
It's so cool that there's parity between what we know. That's a new screenshot.
The legend of the basilisk.
And they built things into
whoa, hold up.
The snake pit.
We're not going to tell you, but there are a lot of folklore about how the basilisk is defeated.
The way we're thinking
the basilisk. He just confirmed a freaking boss.
Where you talk about the subject.
They said they've mentioned basilisk before.
So instead of trying to mimic
they did?
Middle Ages,
how did I miss that?
We're thinking
one of the first
things
they ever
mentioned.
The
things that people believed in the era.
Oh my god!
And all of that is real.
Wait, that's a new screenshot or
there's a
concept art?
Home, the more fantastic.
Shoot an arrow at
the more
one before that
creature side you will be experiencing.
Yeah, I did.
Really, again, like trying to draw from the lore of the Middle Ages. So if you've seen creatures that were believed to exist in the Middle Ages, you're likely to meet at least some of them in the game itself.
Dargans.
Same with the costumes.
Nice.
We
I'm
have been
excited.
researching
Say that.
costumes from multiple areas, and we're kind of focusing on the 12th to the 15th century. And we're using the same colors. We're using the dye recipes from that era.
Blacksmith clothes. We've seen that before, though,
But
right?
at the same time,
I'm pretty sure we have.
kind of cinematic reality.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
the
we
armors
have.
are, beautifully engraved, and it is, very
The dye recipes.
beautiful
Yes.
things based on real-world items. Because there's an amazing amount of stuff in the real world which is so incredibly well made and beautiful from these times.
And the gear that you're using, we don't have like deep fantasy gear with like fancy spikes all over the armor. We're
Chainmail.
supposed to actually wanting to make something that feels very grounded and real, even if we made something that is like look extremely beautiful, like a lot more intricate than people would have had in the Middle Ages. So we want to have this level of fantasy and kind of like just awesomeness.
I feel like it would
Everything we're
be
putting into
a
the game,
crime, Fri-Dei, if
while it all being very
you
grounded in kind of the
could have all of these different gear types and it was just aesthetics.
Europe is and like what the history of Europe has.
I don't know. I feel like it would be a
That is a
crime.
lost opportunity in a lot of fantasy games which kind of invent their own visual styles out of nowhere. And this kind of grounds everything together and ties it together in a very meaningful package.
Grounds it and ties it together. So I wonder if the engraving, like,
So what we're building is
has actual gameplay benefits too, or it's just a visual thing.
On how you can actually interact with the players.
The carvings or the things on the tomb thing?
Yeah, that's what Fri-Dei Sloot was just asking in chat.
I have a feeling it's a shrine.
So from the first
Like where you
minute when
resurrect
start
that.
playing the game.
Oh no! I mean the like armor that they've
I'm
shown so far, where there's like the engraved like etchings into the armor.
From the very
I wonder if it'll be
beginning,
enchanting
like,
or if
you
it's
start
just
in the
more
game,
engraving
in the
for
game.
Yeah.
Should you find people who
fashion
actually help you to do that? What we want to create an environment that actually really incentivizes.
That would be so
people to
cool
play the
if
game.
Going to
instead of
adventure
just
rate from the very beginning.
And for some,
well,
actually, like,
imagine
going out to the
so
world
you're
and
enchanting
like
your
the
armor
forest
if you
is something
could,
that gives you a
and
sense of
your armor
achievement.
just looks
You know
normal to begin with, and then you
that you're
enchant
helping
it, and there's
create
like
valuable
spell
skill. Some people
engravings that are
prefer to just
unique
go
to your
dungeons, they
spell,
couldn't care
and
less
it's
about
like
the skill,
stamped
about
into your
production.
armor.
But these
That would be
players
so
will
cool.
still
It
depend
also
on
help
each
for
other,
enemies to find
but
out
there's
like what kind of
valuables
enchantments
to
you have
Yeah.
on your
in the
armor.
dungeon, there's
Exactly,
valuables
like
to
visual
from the
cues.
forest,
Fire
and
enchantment
even
on
the
their armor.
PvP
Yeah.
players, they will be able to
That person's got a
pick up
giant
things
sun
that
on
are
his
valuable
chest.
for the
Don't
game,
look at him, he'll
but they will
blind you.
depend on the other players as well. So if you want to help somebody, give them items or like build something together.
Okay,
we
so there's
always
some more
actually,
wood.
like, really try to incentivize and
That's
like, never put
inside
anything that prevents people
one of
from
those
doing that.
ruins.
And the things we want to achieve with this, the things
Oh,
like when a
okay.
new player signs
Here
up,
it is.
rather than them being something that for the experienced people,
It's a
very
giant.
difficult to
It looks
deal
like a
with that
giant
new
spider.
player. We actually
I'm gonna be
want that
real.
new player to
It's a
be
spider.
very valuable
The rabbit
commodity
is a
to
spider.
The existing old guilds. So
It
you
is
actually
kind of
want to get the new
spider-y.
people into the guild because they can help you immediately. So for example, crafting the armors,
Ooh,
you
people are
obviously
gonna be
need a
mad
lot of
about
coal
this.
to be
The
able
new
to
player
do
being
blacksmithing, and a new player
valuable.
can just like immediately after signing up,
Yeah.
get them to your home, give them an axe, show how to cut down the tree, how to bring the wood to a kiln, and that's immediately
coal for
valuable for the guild as something that the new player can do. And you will need to continue to do this even after you've been playing the game for a very long time.
Okay. I mean, that's just resource. Resources are sparse and there's disparity of resources. There's a castle up there on the
Pax Dei is
top of
very
that
much
mountain.
about focusing on the player himself. So the
I can
hero
tell if that was
journey
real or not.
of each
Yeah.
individual player is
That's
very
good.
much up to him or her. You know,
The
what
lighting is
choices
okay.
he makes
Yeah.
through the game. And more so than being an individual's hero's journey, it's also the journey of creating
Oh,
civilizations.
Hero's
in the
Journey.
game. So
Everyone
you
check out my
start by
YouTube
building
channel. I did a
homesteads,
piece on Hero's
join
Journey.
up with a few people,
Check
and
it
you
out,
form,
check it out.
Check it out.
nucleus of
Link down
civilization,
in-
which
Sorry.
then grows into
Link
a
down
town,
below.
even a city. And then you can build
Ah,
communal buildings like
civilization.
market squares. You can build churches. You can build blacksmithy guild houses. And then
Absolutely,
join
a
up
shameless
with
plug.
cities, you can form baronies.
City building.
You basically build
I love it.
civilizations within the game. And at
This is the
highest
Golden
end, you're
City.
building kingdoms.
Yes.
And everything is focused on the player, both in cooperation, competition, and conflict. Because we feel that's really where the magic lies in
Yes,
letting
building
many
kingdoms.
people playing together, rather than having everybody playing their own individual story.
Historically, endgame is defined as your first level up, and once you're at the level cap, the endgame begins.
Oh,
and you
we're talking
start,
about
for example,
endgame.
like grinding for gear. Essentially, in Pax Dei, you start at the
Yes.
endgame. Like we
They
don't
want
have a
them to
level
be
progression.
combined.
There are
Whoa.
like means of progressing, but what we've created is an environment where you kind of get to choose the how to play the game in a manner of flexibility that you typically find only in the game.
Does that mean people are gonna be so mad about this?
And the end game style elements you maybe would find is once you've been exploring the world is
those are some flowers right there. You see that?
You can grow your own flowers.
You can involve in because we have the communities building.
I'm sold.
Somebody's gonna need to lead the communities. PvP,
Throwing money.
Ask for my money.
In-game politics. And you will be able to do things
That's what I'm
corner
about.
the market in
Me too,
how
right here.
people are able to get resources and who are the best crafters. So there's this deep layer of social interaction that we're building into the game, and all of the kind of things where you can be a master of in the real world, you kind of can master in Pax Dei.
All of our systems
hold up.
focus on this.
There's some frickin' Sethians right there. They got the cross on the chest.
Oh, they
How the
do.
player economy is run, but also creating positions of
Where
power
should those
within the
Sethians?
feudal system and within the organizations
Yes.
of the game. So this is
Not to plug my own video again. If you look at the concept art when they show Sethians, they have the cross symbol or whatever.
That one's circle on cross thing almost.
You become the knight.
Yep. And they all have the
Oh, this is that shadowy thing you're talking about.
Black
Yes, it was.
You become it. And there's only one pope.
There's only one pope. Okay. Who's it gonna be?
So one of the things we
don't
find
start
so
at level one,
compelling
now you
with the medieval times is that nobody really knows the extent of knowledge. Everybody's looking for, the Holy Grail or the Philosopher's Stone.
There's only one pope, he
There's
said.
So much
Yeah, I know.
lost, and technology has been lost, in the dark.
Here, you're a little
Always on this quest.
behind. I'm gonna pull myself back.
So much
I caught
knowledge
up,
has been
sorry.
lost,
Oh,
and technology has
did you
been
hear it?
lost, in the dark.
He's talking about
Yeah,
everyone's
but-
looking for the
We're always
Sorcerer's
on this
Stone and
quest
the
of
Holy Grail.
finding and rediscovering this,
Yeah.
Old magic, and there's something we want to recreate in the world.
Yeah.
And you will find these mysterious things or parchments or paper, and you can actually, you can piece them together, and that's the way, to tell a story, both to tell a story of the world, but also to give you rewards which are out of the box.
So rather than this being something that you go onto a quest and the quest giver giving you a piece of lore,
It's a storybook.
actually we're weaving
Yes.
it into the gameplay in a manner where you actually are going to be finding it in the game.
Meaning that you might find a magic spell that nobody has seen before, and
You might
hear
find a
rumors about
magic
the
spell that
spell
nobody's seen
found.
before.
So instead of an NPC force-feeding
Yes.
stories down your throat, which you don't have time to listen to because you just want to get the XP and the gold. Here you actually read books about
Frickin'
locations
preach.
in the world because
The Order of
they give you
Knowledge is so
hints
useful right
about,
now.
hidden trapdoors, hidden secrets, hidden spawns. Something might happen on a special
Hidden
day. The
spawns.
stars align in a certain way.
Wait,
These might be simple
What?
things. You might find
What?
simple things. and
something might
you
happen on a
discover some
specific day when the stars
magical
align?
items or secret door, and you can tell your friends about it. But these can also be very complex things where the whole community comes together to try to solve these massive mysteries.
They can be
This is not
complex
only
things
you,
that the whole
building
community
village,
has to come
playing
together to
clan,
solve.
Like building village, maybe playing
See, that's
interact with them multiple times.
saying Word of
And
Knowledge.
all of you will be able to build the knowledge around the world and
Oh
find
my
things
God.
out.
This is so
again,
cool.
What we have wanted to make is a world where actual knowledge by the players is valuable. And when you go somewhere and find a good spot for a resource, or you might find a recipe that allows you to create a magical item that other folks in your community don't know how to make, it's going to be up to you as a player to choose whether you want to share this information and because the information is valuable. And especially on the PvP, you as a clan will
PvP
probably
on
want to
information.
hold onto information that you have found to gain
Free knowledge.
advantage over some of the other players.
Our way of telling the story in the game is more that you play the
Free
world
knowledge.
and not the world plays you. So you're not somebody's
Depending on what the
errand
PvP knowledge is, like
boy running around the path. You are the master of your destiny, and you discover it on your own leisure. We don't do quests. So if we would do NPCs giving you a quest,
You're the master
the
of your own
game is
destiny.
kind of making a contract with
What?
you as a player that
You're master of your own
able to
destiny.
finish the quest.
Yes.
And it means the game is kind of holding your hand. You will not lose. But in our game, nobody knows if the dragon can be killed or how to kill the dragon. And this might be an incredibly complex thing to solve.
God.
You would not get away with doing stuff like this in a single player game. But when you have a community solving together like this massive mystery,
He just ran into it and now it's changing direction and going somewhere else.
On storytelling in amazing ways.
Holy crap. I could talk about this for like hours.
I know, right? They just added so much. This actually adds a lot.
It does.
Game engine, and it has some really amazing features set in order for us to build these massive worlds. We have millions of objects, with millions of trees, with millions of flora and fauna that's living and dying and breathing, and you can interact with everything in it. You can chop down trees, you can pick.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that too, Fri-Dei.
But what Unreal enables us to do is that it enables us to render this crazy amount of items in photorealistic detail.
Oh.
And we built a very customizable system where you can mix and match everything together. You can even be wearing a dress underneath the plate armor, or you can mix chain with plate and leather and all kinds of customization options. And of course you can dye your clothes, have different color buttons, different weaves. You might hide
the customization.
Oh, look at the ring!
Or riddles inside.
Whoa!
You can dye your textures
Wait,
and
hold
nails on your clothes. Oh, you can even inscribe your rings.
Yeah, hold up. I have to go back because there's a screen grab that I already know is there. What does Sanctus mean?
Sanctuary doesn't
mean? What does Sanctus mean?
Well,
is it
I want him to hover over it.
Hidden password for
wait, is this a ring that they're examining?
Yeah,
That they inscribe?
yeah, he's examining it.
Inside actual
A temporary, just damn it. It says a temporary description. I thought it was going to have a description for it. Oh!
What does this mean? What does Sanctus mean? Is it is it a hidden password for for a spell?
Is it a hidden password for a spell? What?
Holy magic, holy spell.
And where did you find it?
Sanctus
So
means
this is a way to
holy.
trigger storytelling.
Yes, but
It
like,
could help with healing magic.
what if they have like pendants or necklaces that you look at it and you have to say like Sanctus at a certain point and it opens up a door, like speak
I
friend
would
and
love that
enter.
too. Yeah.
In the eyes of the people,
They're gonna be. Oh, this game is
during
so
those
good.
times, this
That's what I
is
mean.
reality.
Oh.
This is real. Ghosts are real, and this is not disputed
Mine is
as in
Russian.
any fantasy.
What?
This is what we want to reflect. So when you're walking in the forest during night, you will find these things. You will find ghosts. You will find the spirits of of the past. And the deeper you go, the more mysterious and strange it becomes.
So you should definitely come to our Discord.
Awkwardly
We
staring
have a huge community.
at a tree.
We're giving out content actually periodically there, so we are revealing more and more of the game. You can go to Steam, and we would love you to wishlist the game. That would be amazing for us. But crucially, I think the Discord is the best place to come to and just join the community there.
To get involved in Pax Dei, you should go to our webpage, sign up for the alpha, go to the Steam, and wishlist us there. And
Yeah, join the Discord.
and join our Discord.
Yeah, join it.
Which is ever growing. It's very
Play Pax
things
Dei.
happening there, and I'll see you in game.
Okay, well, you guys, what are they doing? Okay,
We have been
so
researching,
the
medieval
first
customs
part
on multiple areas, and we're kind of
was
focusing on the
okay. Did you
12th to
catch the
15th
part
century, and
where they were
it's
like,
the same colours,
so you might be able to find the dragon,
era,
Yeah, but we'd be able to kill. No one knows how to kill
but
it.
no one knows how to kill it?
cinematic reality. So
What?
the artworks are,
Like,
beautifully engraved, and it is,
oh,
very
it's so cool.
things.
I know people are probably, a lot of people are going to be upset about, oh, there's no leveling, or, you start off in end game, quote unquote. But like,
Potentially.
but like life is kind of end game, right?
Well, I think the thing that people are going to be most mad about is the fact that when you first start the game, the first pioneers of the game will
Yeah.
have a harder time than people joining later, because there won't be civilizations already. There won't be all these things already discovered by the players, as far as where are the dungeons, where are the raids, how to get into the raids, what materials you need to even get into them, because a lot of them are going to be discoverable.
How do you kill the dragon?
Exactly, yeah. How do you kill a dragon? Those first pioneers are going to set those things up for the people of the future come to just get armor handed to them and get told like how to do all these things. Pretty much. That's what
But
some people are going to be mad about.
What if you
Their
kill the
skills are gonna be
dragon and the dragon never comes back?
That would be sad.
But like, what I mean is, what if these? What if there's a benefit also to being like the first person?
Yeah.
You find.
Well, it seems like there is a severe benefit to being the first person to everything, because you get that player knowledge and even the in-game knowledge that other people won't have access to unless you share. Even that spell that you would find that other people don't know about, like that's wild to think about.
Yeah.
So people are really going to be the trailblazers on this,
which is really cool. I mean, that in and of itself is probably one of the most appealing things to me.
Yeah. Discovering the knowledge.
Yeah.
And for some, actually, like just going out to the wood and like cutting down the forest is something that
I like the stuff they talk about politics too later on.
Yeah. Do you have a timestamp for that?
Some people will absolutely prefer to just go to the dungeons. They couldn't care less about the coal production, but these players will still depend on each other. Where there's valuables to bring from the dungeon, there's valuables to
coal production.
11:15.
Even the PvP.
11:15.
They will be able to,
yeah, for politics and organizations. And
oh, okay.
Start off.
While we're at 11:15, really quick. So this looks like a battlement almost in some ruins, with like the sticks sticking out.
Yeah, the Sethians.
Okay, so call me crazy. I'm not an expert when it comes to, medieval battlements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is, why are they putting spikes out on a sheer cliff?
I mean, you can still scale the cliff, I suppose.
But like, those are also some really big spikes.
Yes.
So, and also the trees at the very foreground are dead.
Yes, that's very interesting. That's what I was talking about earlier, about how I feel like, the areas around it will be swamp, like, not naturally. I think it's because these things are creating these swamps, these undead areas like this.
But so then my question is, if you're in an area that's in your own influence, why would you be creating battlements? What I'm getting at is, are they protecting themselves from something else that's coming from the forest that's now dead? And this is like them trying to protect themselves from bad things creeping up the mountain, and that's why they have the spikes sticking out the mountain, because a normal human doesn't crawl up a sheer cliff and just show up and is like, I'm here to kill you. Like, why are they protecting a sheer cliff?
Climbing. I think that this either used to be a facility, because all these structures are from past eras.
Yeah.
I think this used to be from an era of the Sethians. Either this was a Sethian base back then against the Empire of the Pope and all that, or the papal and whatever. This used to be one of their structures, and the Sethians took it from them. I think it's one of those two. It's either a Sethian structure that to keep out the other religion, or it's that religion that created this. And now the Sethians took it over.
Yeah.
But I think it was to fight the opposite. I don't know if they built it in defense of like the undead or something.
Well, I mean, like, so you have the walls, right? Those walls are old walls, like super old walls. So those are definitely.
Oh, I see what you're insinuating.
But I'm saying the
newer wooden ones,
the newer wooden things that are spiky and meant to keep stuff away or run into.
Well, Sethians and Zebians aren't on the same team potentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't know.
That's what I mean. So I'm wondering if Sethians and Zebians, maybe the Sethians are fighting the Zebians, like undead creatures.
Right, and then the undead might be, creepy crawling their way up from the
swamp, undead area.
The swamp, yeah, the undeady kind of area. And
so maybe in this way they're kind of crusaders that I didn't even consider.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like the lore behind Sethians too.
They think they're doing the right thing anyways, yeah.
Right, but their whole thing is what? They believe that when they die, they are becoming closer to.
Yes, self-mutilation and all that is like good.
Is good. But then the zombies, the Zebians, are the opposite. They're preventing themselves from dying, which is like almost the opposite of what a Sethian would want, right?
True.
So like if a Zebian is a Zebian by choice, then that would be in direct opposition to a Sethian's belief. If a Zebian is not a Zebian by choice and you can become a Zebian after you die without your knowledge, then that would be a reason for a Sethian to go and chase after and kill those people, because they're preventing you from getting closer to the divine through actually dying, as opposed to being in this state of like
I have
suspension.
I have a feeling the Sethians have a perverted idea. Like, they're not on the Zebian side, but they're also not on the other,
like the
religion
player's side. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the divine
Or
side, we'll
yeah,
say.
the divine. Yeah, the divine side.
I feel like they were misled by the Dark Lord, even though they thought they were following a divine cause, but they're actually following the Dark Lord in disguise or through perversion or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they don't know that the Zebians and Sethians are actually on the same side technically. The Sethians think that they're good, that they're doing right by their god. And it
Right.
says here that this is their, like, what their feelings are or whatever, their beliefs. Everything of this world is unclean and a creation of the devil. Nothing is worth enjoying, nothing is worth saving. This earthly existence means nothing and has no value. The less one conforms to life on earth, the closer one is to God. Sacrificing one's life brings a Sethian soul one step closer to being allowed back into heaven. Self-mutilation and enduring of pain is an expression of the hatred for Rex Mundi and his creation, and thereby a form of divine worship.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that you're right. I don't think Sethians would like becoming Zebians. I don't think that's
Right.
part of their religious goals.
It would be like, hold up, I was supposed to die.
Yeah,
Why am I?
Can't go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this existence now, so that's not good. But anyways, okay, we can.
Yeah,
we can continue.
Departed with the Sethian talk.
And like clan tools or how the player economy is run, but also
Clan
creating
tools, player
positions of power within the feudal system and within the organizations in the game. So this is a game where you build civilization from the ground up.
All right, pause that really quick. Okay, he said something about feudal system as well as clans. So does that imply that there are multiple layers of systems here where you have like fiefdoms and
I think sorry, continue.
And clans like add into that almost, and there are components to that in addition to, like, so it's an interaction between clans that are actually in the game system, and that's like the feudal system almost. I don't know.
Yes, I think that they're implying that there is clans, which are your main people you're working with, but there are other organizations that can come of like clan cooperation with each other or whatever. And I definitely, I mean, obviously societies will be built on that and cities will be built on them. But I think that this specific systems will be like in place for us to be able to give like rights to other people that aren't your clan, like those kind of things, like permissions to groups that aren't your clan. I think that's something I hope they're implying with this.
Yeah. Specifically,
like
so I
in
can.
mass.
Yeah, so
people
people
like,
can.
I give all of Iron Oceans, they're not my clan, but my clan is allied with them, so we give all of Iron Oceans access to these buildings or whatever kind of thing.
Right.
I would like that be able to be a separate like option.
Or like you rented a room in this tavern, and I'm giving you temporary access for 12 hours to this tavern, or something like that, or to this.
I like that.
To this box, which has a chest in it.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, even like all these things too, I want them to be all contractual things. That would be so easy.
Yeah,
like they said they want to be a part of economy. They want books and scribing to be a part of like appointment play. Like I would love to see an innkeeper have a book of like who is staying in his inn and what room are they in. And they already had like the money from them, so it's a done deal. Like those kind of things to like really solidify the interactions.
And that's kind of a part of like the contract system. In the past, they've mentioned the contract system as the additional questing, like the only quests that players will get in game are ones made by other players. So a part of that system, could that also be you have contracts that players can make with each other of, I'm giving you a contract to let me stay in your room for 12 hours or, for 3 days or 12 months or whatever it is. And that is also integrated into this contract play in a way. And whether or not the innkeeper acknowledges that contract or something like that, that is up to the players to decide repercussions for and whatnot. But
yeah,
the ability to have that kind of system in place where it's bringing players together in that way would be really cool.
I agree, and it would give more jobs to scribes. More things
Exactly.
to do. Well, you write contracts.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get like not just like contracts, but you're gonna have to have notaries.
Yeah, on a notarized.
I'm
things,
witnessing
alliance between two clans. Somebody has to notarize that like alliance document. Describe it or write up.
Shadowcaster, thanks for the
marriage
resub.
licenses.
Been
things
subbed
like
for a
Anything
year,
where I can,
baby.
write
Let's
something
go.
Up. Let me have it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, I'm gonna press play.
All the positions of power involved in feudal system, and we find that incredibly exciting. And this means that you don't start
like the slow-mo shot.
Knight. You become the knight.
You don't spawn as a
You
knight, you become a knight.
As a guild of blacksmiths, you become it.
You become the leader of the guild of blacksmiths.
Yeah.
And there's only okay. I need to pause it just because this is something that I'm invested in at this point. So yeah, there's only one pope.
That's interesting. That makes me believe that churches really are an integrated system that we don't get to really like play around with as much.
But that also begs the question. So like, I mean,
how do we choose them?
Cyrodiil in that other game, you become the emperor, right? Like players can become the emperor or whatever in that area. So are they going to have a system like that where there's a system in place for players, and does the Pope are there prerequisites? They said there's no NPCs in the game, right? Everything's led by players. So, do you actually recognize people who are more holy?
I'm trying to consider because some kind of voting system, but that would be really interesting to see how they would.
So then, but who's the cardinals that get to vote?
That's what I was.
And how do you vote for the cardinals?
So they've mentioned that the churches are already structures in the game that we can that you'll have more interaction with than just any other building you'll just create. So that already tells me that there's some kind of inbuilt system. So I feel like maybe each church will be able to vote on somebody to be pope potentially, or is the pope just the one who's the leader of the great church or whatever? The church at Axis Mundi or whatever.
Right. So then,
and then who decides that? Whoever gets there and puts the crown on first.
Another question though then would be, okay, what if, because they said that we can make churches, right? So if,
but also, hold on, let me find it. You keep talking.
Yeah. So what if access to being able to participate in these kinds of things is also tied to building, and you build certain you have a church and you build a tier 1 altar, cool. You build a tier 3 altar, cool. You build a tier 10 altar, cool. And and the higher the tier of altar or something like I'm coming up with stuff off the top of my head, but what I mean by that is, these different tiers give the person that's appointed the priest of that church access to different things or more things. And maybe after a community or, a city state or a kingdom or, a guild or whatever who's making a city, maybe those people, as you're getting higher and higher up, it's starting to unlock access to, well, now, this church is big enough to have influence over this area, and then they get access to vote for the Pope or something like that. I don't
no, I liked where you were going with that. That's a really interesting idea. I would like to see something like that, especially because I found the article, I think, looking for the right thing they said in it. They talked about how
And the crazy part is we're like, there's so much stuff for for me to digest now. I'm gonna be editing videos for like the next month. All the information.
There's so much to discern from this, and I'm so excited to like just keep pouring over it.
Because like,
damn,
the part that I was talking about was the part where they said, you know, it was one of the FAQs where someone was asking like, can you get married? And they said, well, you know, yeah, you can get married, but first you have to build a church, appoint a priest, and then the priest can marry you.
Yeah. So right here it says the building in Pax Dei, in this article that I found that was by mmorpg.com. It said the building in Pax Dei looks much like we've seen in survival MMOs since they started on to hit this stage over a decade ago. Building blocks effectively snap together, allowing players to build anything from a humble shack on their claimed plot of land to elaborate villages, complete with keeps, churches, which will be a role in Pax Dei's world, and curtain walls. In fact, the village showcased in the teaser trailer embedded above is a player made thanks to friends and family trying out the current alpha build of the Pax Dei. Developers will provide the okay, yeah. But anyway, so they mentioned the churches part. I swore there was more about the churches, but maybe that's it. Just will play a role.
I am so about it.
I know, me too.
I'm like, that is so cool. So like, whatever their system is, there has to be a way that, because if you can build
a church,
exactly, there has to be something that you're building in a structure that makes that structure a church. Now it's like, it either has to be,
or if it's a ruin, maybe you have to build. Maybe if you want to build, you got to
like rebuild it or something. Yeah. Or like, because my only thing, but then if it's landlocked to like ruins, then that means there's only a certain number of them, which means it plays into like, well, the first come first serve. If there's only a limited number of them that are available, and you can never destroy things in Heartlands, and there's churches in Heartlands because everyone builds in the Heartlands, then you would never be able to destroy the church or gain control over it after the first people gain control over it.
See, I know that's what I'm like trying to consider. Again, it goes back to first come first serve. Then same with the Pope thing. I'm like, I wonder if it's just whoever has the highest reigning church is the Pope of that, or you know, whoever has the highest upgraded church automatically becomes the Pope.
Or there's like a piety like thing that you have to upkeep constantly, and whoever acquires the most piety or something like that is the Pope, and then if that changes, the Pope changes.
I just gave you some. Sorry, this is going back to what you were mentioning about that ring that we saw in the video. It says, this is an excerpt that I had found that I had mentioned in the Monastic Order Discord. Shout out Monastic Order. The world of Pax Dei is also littered with lore, hints, and secrets for players to discover. It doesn't seem as though anything is really going to be handed to players on a silver platter, meaning exploration, teamwork, and more are going to be vital for players who want to excel here. One of the examples was a ring that Porinison's character held in his inventory. While it looked like a plain ring, on the underside of the gold band was an inscription, a key to learning how to get into a dungeon. Secrets like this are scattered around the world for players to naturally discover, but I was also worried that for those who deal with low visibility, seeing something as far as ring inscription might not be possible. Which is true. But also, you were right.
Literally, they showed the ring that they were talking about in that article then.
I know. There must have been something they've already seen before then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they never showed it in a trailer, but this is like the demo.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they demoed this specifically to the people who saw, you know, in was that the MMORPG or the PC Gamer Mag?
Yes. Yeah. Well, there was either the.
It was one of those two, right? Yeah. So then someone saw that. So then the one that we saw, the Sanctus ring with the inscription on the inside, then interesting. Very interesting.
And then I wonder how that's going to be put together. Do you just type it into the wall? Do you have to like push some puzzle pieces together to make it spell out Sanctus? Do you have to go into the door with Sanctus above it, or you die?
Yeah. Is there in-game voice? Do you actually have to walk over to it and say Sanctus? How do you deal with other people that have that speak different languages? Is it
Yeah.
localized? What is happening?
And then also people just shouting random shit while you're trying to do it.
Yeah.
Or also like, what if you can't speak? How are you gonna play the game?
Yeah, how are
There's
you
like
gonna?
certain things that I definitely want to consider.
Yeah. Is it something that has to be accessible? Do you just, like, is there an entire alphabet that you have to select at
That
some
would
random stones?
stop. Don't get me too excited about that. I'm ready to learn a whole new language and alphabet.
That would be really cool. Did you ever play Tabula Rasa
No.
back in the day? So they had an entire language, an alien language that you had to learn.
Oh damn, I love that though.
Yeah, and you'd go find like different bits and pieces of it throughout the world, and then you'd use that language to like unlock different areas in the world. It's kind of cool.
Very cool.
Was it Guild Wars 2? No, New World did something similar, but like to a lot lesser degree with the Brimstone Sands update. You had to go like find runes, and then it could unlock like secret passageways and stuff like that to other areas.
That's very cool. I like that idea.
So like something like that in Pax Dei would be super cool as well. But now I'm just gonna get into the alpha and immediately just start saying Sanctus everywhere I can until a door opens.
Until it opens one. That's funny.
Who's that crazy guy? Oh, that's Altari. He's been looking for a dungeon that he thinks he found the key for 10 years ago. and he hasn't found it yet. So he hasn't posted any new content for 5 years looking for it.
Funny. He'll find it eventually. He has to.
Yeah, he has to. But at this point, he's literally just procedurally going up and down the map until it comes up. But all right, let's continue going here.
Yeah, reading the article now just to see if there's anything else they mentioned now. Considering this PC Gamer reviews are finally released.
Yeah, it makes sense.
One of the things we find so compelling with the medieval times is that nobody really knows the extent of knowledge. Everybody's looking for, the Holy Grail or the Philosopher's Stone.
This is something that interests you as well, is the next part where he's talking about nobody knows about the extent of knowledge, right? People are looking for the Holy Grail, people are looking for the Philosopher's Stone.
And because so much knowledge has been lost, and technology.
Yeah, that's very interesting to think about, like legendary items like that, and how many there will be in the world.
Yeah, knowledge has been lost, technology has been lost. It's like, can we eventually build catapults and other things? Technology?
Discovering this, old magic, or there's something we
It's
want
interesting
to
that
recreate,
this church plays a functional role in Pax Dei. Is
Well,
it like City Hall?
Well, so one of the more recent lore posts, right, with Armazel, where he knocks down a barrier to allow him to go and venture into Medulla, the mountain.
Yeah.
Like maybe churches have some kind of, I don't know, defensive role or something like that. There's something that is reinforcing
now that
parts of the world.
I wonder if it grows the Heartland at all. Like it grows the
and if
power
you
of the
don't
divine.
do it, and if you don't do it, does it shrink the Heartland?
Well, I wonder if it just stays, because once you get there and build the church or rebuild the church or whatever, I wonder if it just like that's the base of how big the Heartland can be, but then you can upgrade the church, which then inspires everyone in nearby to upgrade it because that gives them more space. So I think that would be a good way, and then also make that the city hall kind of thing where that's where you go to make appointments. That's where you go to do this and that and other things, because
it's like a centralized location.
Exactly, and it plays a part of the lore. It plays a part of the overall the Heartland in general, where you can even build. And then it also could be played in appointments and stuff, because like they've said several times, the church played a huge part in everything back then, as far as like government and books and like all these things that the church was very a part of. So I could definitely
structure,
see
military.
Yeah, I could see the church being the place where people, like a bulletin board and like those kind of things would be
found in that kind of setting.
Yeah, I could see that. Like they center it around the church, which again fits the setting of medieval time back then, where the church was the center of everything.
And then in addition, for other people that are in like the same Heartland, but maybe they're not contributing to the city that's in that, or the church that's in that city. They're in a different city, but in the same heartland is what I'm trying to say. If that's even possible. Yeah. Like, is there a benefit? Well, one, the resources that you have to maintain, is there a maintenance cost essentially to the church that makes it so, in order, if you're going to have a cathedral, a giant or a basilica style massive church that is the center of a lot of stuff, one, does that make it so other people can't build churches nearby? Like it has an AoE, thing to it.
Yeah.
But then two, is it making a system that other players now can benefit and venture to that location in that heartland, to that city, and still use the facility basically as a church, but they get the benefit of not having to necessarily pay that upkeep anymore. So it generates commuting basically between locations and pilgrimages, I guess is what you'd call it, where maybe your heartland doesn't have the best church with access to certain things. Maybe, I don't even know, we haven't seen ailments in the game, but maybe you can get cursed, and you heard that there's a church off in some other land that the priest that's there knows how to cure that specific curse. So you have to go on a journey to go to that church, and your church doesn't have access to it. But maybe that church, the one that's nearest to you, has access to something else, or they have access to some like sacred relic or something.
That reminds me of like Elder Scrolls. They do similar things with each city having a different focus, to focus on a different deity. So they have different, magics that they offer at the church, divine magics that they offer at the church. That'd be really cool. Also, thinking about how you resurrected altars or shrines, which we've seen in one of the, I think it was the bug photo dump that they did, but it was a photo of somebody who was dead, and it said resurrect a shrine or something. Maybe that's something to do with churches as well. So if you build near a church, it's going to be beneficial for you when you die and you need to resurrect, and you don't have to run all the way back to your village, which is not far from the, or
billion miles away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I think that would definitely encourage more church centralized play as well. Like make churches important as far as that creates the bigger Holy Land in general for you to build in. That makes it so that when you resurrect at the church and this and that.
And also, it can be sources of conflict for players, right?
Sure. So political conflict over who's going to run the church. Yeah.
Who's gonna, or who owns the church even. So you have a church, it's in the heartlands. Well, that's what I mean. Like if you're building a city and you place a church in that city, right? It's on your plots of land in a heartland, right?
Yeah.
So you own it. And you can set the policies or whatever. You can appoint the priest or something like that. If that's what you're able to do, then, and especially if it creates a aura of influence where other churches can't physically be placed past that.
Yeah.
Then you have a resource, and this is just, again, me theory crafting, but you have a resource that maybe the church, players have to go outside of the heartlands to acquire. And that's how they maintain the church, or else the shrine falls apart and they lose influence with the divine or something like that, right?
It will be interesting to see I hope there's some kind of you need a combination of things to keep the church running, so it does inspire, again, group play, but also inspires not just you to being a little monk hiding in your church. You have to either politically start getting involved with some people around you, or the church is going to degrade and they're just going to take over when you lose your job.
Exactly.
Or you're going to, be political about it and get them to help you maintain it with benefits or whatever.
Right.
And then also it brings back books too. Are books going to be held in churches then? Because they've also mentioned that papals used to be in charge of the more important books, and they used to be chained to desks and stuff, and you could be excommunicated if you stole a book and stuff. I want to know about that too. How much are they connected? How much the church is important?
Exactly. And then in addition to that, you can also do maybe I want to have a church in my city, but there's another city in a different heartland, or in my heartland even, that already exists, but I think that they're not doing the best job with their city or with their church.
Yeah.
If you need a resource or maintenance or something like that is acquired outside of the heartlands, then I as a group would go and try and isolate them from being able to acquire said resource, kind of like gatekeep them until their church degrades, and then I can, go and build mine because I've been gatekeeping them from that resource or something like that. But I could see problems with that too, because if you're a really big group, though, you could just bully people and
But I mean,
make
don't you
a church
deserve
everywhere.
to run the church though, because you are the bigger, more resourceful person? Isn't that that would be in real life too? If there was a real life group back then that had all the resources, had all the money, had all the things, of course they're going to be able to kind of persuade the church as far as whose roles are inside the church or who has, who's in charge of it.
Yep. As long as you don't, you could have a clan of 20,000 players that all show up, or okay, 20,000 is a little too much. You have a guild of 1,000 players, right? They're 1/20th of what an entire Pax Dei server should entail.
Mm-hmm.
And they can literally control every aspect, every single thing about churches if they wanted to. They literally travel around the entire creation and now are gatekeeping people out of it. That would suck because on some servers you'd have just it's a monopoly, right?
Sure.
If you can't
But
beat them,
I don't know if
them.
that's because the thing is that they either have to
What up, Zaven? Welcome.
Upkeep
Thank you
costs
for the
and
follow.
resources and stuff. They have to then put in the time and energy to not only own all those churches, but then upkeep all those churches with the proper materials and resources and stuff. So if they wanted, and then also, I don't know if you'd be allowed to lock people out of churches then. I think that those people would still be allowed access to what churches have to offer. Also, is it just a respawn point? Is it just a place where you can go and heal? Is it really that vital of a thing to where people not only would monopolize it, but then once they do monopolize it, can they really even do anything with that monopolization besides the fact that they just get to claim that they own every church in existence?
Right, exactly. And that's I mean, it would be kind of weird to have a church and then the church's doors aren't open to everyone, right?
Yeah.
So what benefit would someone actually have of owning a church as their group specifically versus any other group?
I think it's going to be just like in real life where it's going to be kind of a martyr's job to want to go be part of a church because you're going to have to do more logistical things. You're going to have to, I mean, you're running the upkeep of it potentially, but also just divine magics, bookkeeping, any kind of thing regarding that just keeps you more of a steward kind of position or role. So I feel like a lot of people will feel like they're either giving up something to do that or it's something they really want to do and that's all they want to do. Is be role play a priest and make sure that the church stays churchy.
Yeah, the church stays churchy. I like that.
I say that. I mean, I need those people. I don't want to stay at the church the whole time, but I definitely want to help run a church. I mean,
right, exactly.
I want to be a part of it, but I don't want to. And there's going to be multiple people too. I wonder how that'll play out either.
I mean, that's why the Pope has cardinals, right?
Exactly.
Pope has cardinals so that they don't have to do the work.
This all spawned from that one guy saying there's going to be one Pope.
One
he
Pope.
Said that. Gotta be
He shouldn't have said the Crimson Pope can't have any competition with anyone else. What's that? That's not fair.
I guess not. Yeah.
That's not fair at all.
Well, I guess we've decided who the Pope's going to be then.
Hey, I'm just saying that the name sounds cool. The rule of cool. We at least checked that box, but I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what religious gameplay in Pax Dei looks like. So
me neither, but I definitely think Brother's going to get my vote, unfortunately.
Oh, well, I mean, I would. He has my vote.
I would like to be friends with the Pope, not be the Pope, actually. That's my goal for everything, though. I don't want to lead anything. I just want to be a part of everything.
You just want to know. It's the I want to know. I know that guy.
Yeah. I want to know the right people, but also it's just that makes the gameplay better too by knowing more people and being able to interact with them through quests or materials or services offered. There's so many ways to interact with people in the game that it's there's no reason not to have some interaction with everybody for some reason or another.
Yeah, exactly.
Networking is so key in a game like this.
All right, I'm gonna press play and see what more we can hear from this one.
And you will find these mysterious things or parchments or paper, and you can actually, you can piece them together, and that's the way, to tell a story, both to tell a story of the world, but also to give you rewards which are out of the box.
So rather than this being something that you go onto a quest and the quest giver giving you a piece of lore, actually we're weaving it into the gameplay in a manner where you actually are going to be finding it in the game.
Meaning that you might find a magic spell that nobody has seen before, and
can't wait to give
hear rumors about the magical spell that somebody found. So instead of an NPC like force-feeding stories,
all right, I'm gonna pause it here.
You don't have time.
Okay, so in this, here's the question for you. They just said you might find a spell that nobody else has found before.
Yeah.
So my perspective on it is that's free knowledge for everyone. I would be walking down the streets being like, look at this new spell that we've found.
Yeah.
But what's your take on it?
I definitely feel like some will be hoarding this. I think that the ego will overtake most people and they won't be able to not say something about it. Especially if they're looking for information on it. If somebody finds something, they're like, what is this? It hasn't been found before. What can I discern from this? Through the community or through online resources or whatever. And once they find that there's no other information out there, then they realize they found something new, and then they can do with that what they will. Like they can either ask for help to figure out what it is and what it's for and what its good use is, or they can, hoard that and try and figure it out themselves until somebody else comes along and finds it, and then they get to be the person that found it. It's like I wonder if people's ego will overcome their greed to just keep it.
Their hubris.
Yes, they'll have to just be the first to find it. I think that's going to be more valuable to that person than actually
what it entails.
Having it. Yeah, because I doubt anything's that crazy. Even the spell, like if you found the spell that no one else had found, I'm sure that people will have some reason to give that spell up for whatever reason. Somebody will know the price to pay.
If I found a spell that allowed my character to fly, you can bet your bottom dollar, even if it's for like 5 seconds, I would actively be telling people how that I have this spell. I would be flying in front of them.
Exactly. And even if somebody hoarded that, like they can only hoard it for so long until somebody saw them use it, and then this becomes a matter of time before they realize where's that person been? Where did they find out? Yeah, there's gonna be like, and they've already kind of mentioned that there's no like one. You're not just gonna find one really rare item and no one else is ever gonna be able to find it, or kill one really rare boss and no one else is gonna be able to ever kill it. Like they're gonna come back at some point, or like be respawnable or recreatable or something. But I definitely think that people hoarding stuff is only a matter of time before others will discover it. So you either can be the first, or you can hoard it until somebody finds out what you've done.
So then, will the Order of Knowledge hoard, or will they accept free knowledge and
we
spread
are a public program in university for everyone to learn. Our library doors are open to all to learn about everything in the game.
And a 403c, right? A nonprofit organization, hopefully.
Nonprofit, yep, for sure. It's community built and ran through and through.
Open source.
That's what I mean. Books, like all these books and tidbits of books, like if people just find these random scraps of paper, they're gonna be like, this is no good, this is useless to me. Until they come to this place where there's a collection, like an archive of all
a literal library.
Exactly, a library that's gonna help them find the other pieces of that, or help somebody else who has a piece of it find each other, so they can either choose to like trade in some way and share the knowledge between them two, or they can go off on an adventure together and go do it by themselves or whatever. But
maybe a grand library.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they decided to give it to us and let us decide what we want to do with the information. Maybe that's more what it is.
A college of archaeology.
Exactly.
That belongs in a museum.
I want to see these universities and archaeologies and different schools. I want to see all those things pop up and like fuel each other in ways like, oh, we found this thing while looking into this. Like we thought that the School of Bards would want to know about this musical instrument recipe or something. It's like see those kind of things. I want to see that interaction in the game.
And so here's an interesting thing as well. So in that you said the School of Bards, when he talked about the Pope, one of the things he said right before the Pope is like, you don't spawn in as the leader of the blacksmith guild. You become the leader of the blacksmith guild.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that was a little interesting because one, if there is a blacksmith, for starters, he said guild, not clan.
Yeah. But that's what I think he's inferring, that several clans or several people who are blacksmiths get together and create a guild.
a guild. So then we have clans that are one thing,
Mhm.
guilds that are another thing, and then possibly more past that is what it sounds like. And the leader of the blacksmith guild, maybe they're just like the church has like a pope, and there might be a prerequisite for the pope. Maybe there's something similar for
I
the
could see
blacksmith.
something like that, like maybe like the highest skilled person in it, maybe. But I think it
Yeah,
should be a bit
or
more looser than that, because I think
yeah,
guild just he's by guild he's referring to just any other kind of
just
organization,
right.
like orders and guilds and yeah,
So
all that kind
something
of good stuff.
different, not technically the same, I guess, as like not a clan, but just another player-led
Like a social,
organization.
yeah. I could see them having like some kind of social group system where you can just create a different kind of quote unquote social group, which would
Yeah.
be like a blacksmith's guild. So you're not actually sharing any kind of stuff innately, but you can share stuff innately by being like, okay, well, I'm going to set this box to being blacksmiths only, or this workbench to blacksmiths only, or whatever. If they're in the blacksmiths guild, they can use this kind of thing because
Right.
we're in the same social group. So I can set that as my thing, my requirements for that or whatever.
Right.
That'd be
Exactly.
very interesting to see, but not something that's necessarily like a
A
really
hard lock.
yeah, kind of like clans because clans are they said are like your family. They're people you play with every day. They're people you trust. The people you share stuff with. That kind of
Right.
stuff. So a guild would just be more of like a loose collection based on, or any kind of bigger organization would just be a loose collection based on, oh, we're all blacksmiths, and so we all want to share knowledge of that and resources and
So like
whatnot.
clans, guilds, alliances.
Well, I say then they mentioned like kingdoms. Yeah, that you'd be
Yeah,
building
kingdoms.
kingdoms.
So are kingdoms things that are different than clans, or is that just a word
It's a
that's
collection.
associated with that's what I mean. Is a clan something that is a component that is required to make up a kingdom, or can one clan be a kingdom, or is there a prerequisite to be, you need more than one clan to be a kingdom?
I think they're referring to kingdom as like a player built idea. Like, so if you take over if you take over all of Carries, you become a
Mm-hmm.
kingdom. Like you become the kingdom of that region
The
or
kingdom
that
of
province,
carries.
I guess. Yeah. Or maybe they're talking about maybe several regions. So if you take over Carries or not take over, but if you collaborate with all of Carries and
Marys.
the Marys, thank you, then maybe you can create a kingdom that way in which that there's a trade route and there's collaboration and different things going on with those two cities respectively, but they're still owned by the greater collection. Like by
Right.
those two clans like split up their resources, or not two clans, but those several clans are splitting the resources between both cities and therefore making an entire kingdom that is still made up of
So
smaller clans, but
so
come together for
then
the greater good.
a clan is a clan. Those are the people
Hmm.
that you play with the most.
Hmm.
A guild is an association of people
Hmm.
that can be in any number of clans, like the Order of Knowledge, right? That would
Sure.
kind of fit in that bracket. Then alliances would technically be a composition of clans,
Well, see, yeah, I think that so it goes clans, which is your close group, close knit
right?
people, whatever people you play with all the time, just with everything. And then there's associations, I'd say is what I would probably call it, just because that could be anything. That could be academy, that could be a order, that could be a guild, that could be anything that's just an overarching group. It could be the church, the monastic order. It could just be all the churches together have this little like subgroup of priests specifically, the orderhood of priests or whatever. But
Right.
those kind of things I think would just naturally pop up and not be a specific like again, more of a social system where it's more of a tag and like a separate chat that you get, but nothing as far as permissions or whatever, unless you want to specifically give people permissions, and then it makes it easier that way. So then you're not like, oh, I have to give everyone who's in the knowledge order specific permissions. I can just click knowledge order, and then everyone from the knowledge order gets these permissions, and that would be so much easier. But then also not like super, you're not forcing that on anyone either,
Right.
giving them the option. But then
Yeah.
I think, yeah, so then from that you have the associations, and then above that, and that's associations are just made up of individuals who choose to be a part of it. So like the Blacksmiths Guild, it's all a bunch of blacksmiths who come together and decide to make that and join that. And then
Right.
so that's just individuals, that's not the clans themselves. But then alliances are specifically clan based. So if our leader of our clan makes alliance with your clan, then like our clans are just connected that way, whether or not the members want to be connected or not.
Right.
Which I think is the difference between what an association would be and what an alliance would be. Because
Right.
technically, the knowledge order would be having alliances between people in that regard, more so.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
really trying to rethink the structure here because it's going to be very interesting as far as systems go, and I wonder how they're going to handle that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I'm
it's very
impressed.
interesting. So yeah, I think it goes clans, associations, which are individuals of clans, and then alliances, which are collections of clans, which can create kingdoms and cities together if they want
Right.
through collaboration.
Okay. And then the Pope.
Yeah, the Pope, which that's crazy. That's wild that they mentioned that. I'm gonna have to point that out in the monastic order, but one Pope, they said.
One Pope to rule them all.
Interesting. I wonder how it's gonna go.
One Pope to bind them. One Pope to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them.
I think because of this, I'm gonna have to write up an entire discussion thread on churches and see what the devs have. I'm gonna put it in the dev questions and see what devs have to say about churches more.
Yeah.
I have to know now.
Yeah. I can't wait for a religion FAQ. I will lose my stuff over that.
That'd be awesome.
All right, I'm gonna press play here.
Yep.
To listen to because you just want to get the XP and the gold. Here you actually read books about locations in the world because they will reveal hints about hidden trapdoors, hidden secrets, hidden spawns. Something might happen on a special day or when the stars align in a certain way. And these might be simple things. You might find simple things and discover some some magical items or secret door. And you can tell your friends about it, but these can also be very complex things where the whole community comes together to try to solve these massive mysteries.
But it's not only you.
All right, I'm going to pause it now.
Okay.
So, massive kind of mysteries to solve. So
they can be discerned through different things, like the alignment of the stars or whatever. Those kind of things can reveal things that then could be, used by the community for other stuff. But it's gonna be. See, this is such.
We're gonna have to reprogram our brains. Like, think about this: when you go into a game right now, when you see like a statue, and it's pointing off in a direction, right?
Sure.
Right now, I think, oh, that's a cool statue. Like that artwork's really cool. Wow, that's awesome. But now, am I going to have to ask, oh, that's a statue. I wonder what it's pointing at.
Yeah,
and then look over in that direction.
On the back side of it.
Yeah,
or like
exactly. Or, I found a wood cup at the bottom of this statue, and then you can inspect the wood cup, and on the bottom of the wood cup, there's like an inscription saying, don't go there, or something like that. And you're like, okay, well, obviously that means I have to go there now. Where's there? Why is it here? And it opens up this bottle of mysteries that they're going to have. And I part of me is like, okay, that's really cool. But it makes me wonder, so in 10 years, they said that they want this game to be something that's going for, decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about that, in 10 years, what is going to be left to uncover without creating new lands to explore? So how are they going to make it so, there's new stuff popping up for people to uncover the mysteries of that maybe didn't exist before?
Yeah.
And what do we do in that regard? Like that's something that I am curious about as well.
I think it'd be interesting too to see how things will so if the planets align and we find this rock, okay, and then this rock, we find out clues from a piece of paper that we're supposed to take it to this holy lake, and we put it in the holy lake, and then it's supposed to sit there after the next full moon, and then after the next full moon, rock becomes charged. Like I feel like it's almost going to be like a community collection of like quests and steps that we kind of put on ourselves because we're just following clues and making it up as we go. But also, like, you can do quests as far as like I need, wood, basic ass quests from somebody like I don't want to go out there and get wood from Gallia. I'm over here and
here's 20 gold. Go get me some wood.
Yeah, I can't bother to go to Carrie's right now. Somebody go get it for me, kind of thing. those kind of quests too. But I think these grander quests, as far as like community driven, like information gathering and
To find the Holy
artifact
Grail.
gathering, yeah, I feel like that's gonna really take community collaboration, and people who are just trying to find it out by themselves are gonna have a really hard time.
What does the Sorcerer's Stone... Okay, let's be real. You can't just... There isn't 20 Sorcerer's Stones, though. There's not 20 Holy Grails. There's only one of both of those.
That's why I don't think they'll give us anything that's like the Sorcerer's Stone or the Holy Grail.
Like
and
a
if
relic.
it is, I think it's again going to be something like this, where you have to find the pieces about it, craft it. After you craft it, you then have to go enchant it at a certain holy lake for a day. After that day of enchanting it, you then have to go kill the blood of a dragon and then pour the dragon in the cup, and then that's when drink from it. Like I feel like there's certain steps that are going to make artifacts or items magical, and not necessarily just find magical items.
I agree with that. Or for things like the Holy Grail, they just pull a Sword of Gryffindor on us,
Oh,
like
it just disappears.
It disappears after a period of time, and now you have to go find it somewhere else. It might not be at the same location that you found it the first time, but it exists somewhere again, and you have to go find it again, kind of thing.
That would be cool. Well, even the Holy Grail too, like you being able to, you personally going to do the adventure and finding it and stuff. But then, yeah, you only get to drink from it there. You don't get to take it out of the cavern or whatever that you find it in. And so then it's left there for future people to find.
Exactly. Something like that. That would be very cool.
I think that the amount of realism they have planned, I think that they're going to make it really good. It's not going to be some kind of cheap, like, oh, everyone's found the Holy Grail. Everyone's got a Holy Grail in their inventory. Like, I really hope they do make it some kind of more
meaningful, impactful thing.
And if everyone has a Holy Grail, again, I want it to be like they had to go and get the very rare materials from all these
legendary item.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to see people just walking around with Holy Grails that they just got from a dungeon run kind of thing.
And I also don't want to see people who just joined the game with a free account 2 minutes ago, and they're like streaming it from their computer browser or something like that because they saw one of us streaming it or something and they wanted to join. And then see what I did there? That was a very sly plug.
I know. I was like, oh, I see.
But they come in and they join a guild, and the guild has it's like have you seen Loki?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, no, but I do want to watch it.
Okay, so it's not really spoilers. But in Loki, at the TVA, which is the like time traveling organization.
Oh, yeah.
Loki shows up, and they confiscate some item from him, and he opens up the drawer, the TVA officer does, and there's like 30 infinity stones just like sitting there, all the different colors. They're just all sitting in this box, and he's like, are those the not sorcerer's stones? Are those the infinity stones? And he's like, oh yeah, we get like 5 of those a day. And he just slams the door again. It's like those stones in their separate universes have the ability to literally destroy the entire universe when they're put together, and all of them are just sitting there. If Thanos just knew, he could have solved the problem a lot earlier. But having a guild that's been around for 5 years or something like that, and they just have 20 of these holy grails that are just sitting in the back. They're like, oh yeah, let me just like, you're new, okay, cool, yeah, hey Bill, go get the holy grail.
And I definitely don't I don't love that, but I also get it. If the game's been around for 10 years and you join a guild that's been there for 10 years and they have 100 holy grails, which were at one point harder to come by or make or whatever, but they've then done so much crafting or so much gathering of it that they now have a lot of it. Like, that's fair and fine in the future, and I get that they're trying to make it easy for you to just jump in with your friends, especially down the line. But again, it's going to make people mad when they work so hard to even find out the information about how to get that thing. But then once they got that thing, it was a huge achievement. And now
it takes the fun. It takes the fun out of the player agency behind it too, right? Because the whole thing, I mean, they even said it at the very beginning, like, you kind of spawn in end game. Like, there's not leveling in Pax Dei. So the whole fun that comes from all of this, and what they've obviously shown now in lore, is the lore for Pax Dei is the gameplay, like, and that's what they're really trying to sell. And I don't know if people have kind of come to that understanding yet, but what's becoming more and more clear to me is the reason why people are saying like, oh, why do they keep on talking about lore? We want gameplay. It's like, I think it's actually right there in our faces right now. They are talking about gameplay. It's not the gameplay that they can show us. Obviously, yes, they can show us magic eventually. They can show us how clan systems work.
But
and
even that,
perms
like
and
they
stuff.
said, there's going to be hidden spells out there that you don't even know about. They're not going to show
Right.
us all the hidden spells they have hidden out there. So again,
Right.
people don't understand that this is truly like a crime-solving game that we're trying to figure
Right.
out what happened here,
And
what tools we even have at our disposal. Like we have to start from scratch as far as knowledge and as far as actual materials.
exactly. And then so they are showing us gameplay when they give us lore. Like they talk about Armazel going into Medulla.
Yeah, you better
Okay.
you better believe I'm checking out Medulla.
Yeah, he's probably still sitting there with all we know, and we could save him, or he's going to try and murder us, or something else.
Corrupted, and we have to fight
exactly.
now,
I mean, totally. It totally makes sense. Exactly, but then the fact that he was one of the Redeemers, that means there might be, if you were able to find out how to kill him or defeat him as a boss, maybe there's some special item that he has that is truly unique and or has the ability to craft it. I mean, we know for a fact that he was the one that gifted humans like the ability to imbue things with magic.
See, that would be cool. And I think like if so, again, going back to, I don't think there's going to be like one boss to just defeat and he's never going to come back. I could see him and his army of paladins being like undead people in that mountain, and so they're cursed
that keep on coming back.
Exactly. So that you can destroy the spirits, but then they'll definitely reform eventually because they can't be passed on yet or whatever.
Right.
Or whatever raised them there.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you still, when you defeat him, you get like a fragment of his spirit or something like that. Then you could then go use to craft like enchanted weapons or whatever. Like that would be cool. Or an enchanted weapon or whatever.
Even more so, you and your team went and defeated him someday in fall in game, and it was during the daytime. But another group came and defeated him when it was nighttime in the winter, and the stars were aligned in a certain way, and he was a completely different fight altogether. Yeah. And when you killed him, a hidden, entryway was opened up or something like that. I don't know. And there's all these, there's reasons to go, because they've even said, we want to create reasons for you to go back to other places in the world and re-experience things, but in a different light. That's how it works. So then, cool. Honestly, they're showing us gameplay. It doesn't look like normal gameplay that we're used to, which kind of harkens back to what I was saying about the statue pointing. Normally, in every game that I've played so far, that statue is just a cool piece of art.
Yeah.
For the most part, unless you're playing a game where that's like a component that's
which rarely is the case. If it is, it's not as on this grand of a scale, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I think.
But also, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying. So I think it's kind of funny that people ask for gameplay. We want gameplay. We want more gameplay, and they're like, okay, here's some gameplay. Lore post.
Yeah, people are getting really mad about that. But again,
but that's what it is.
To the gameplay, yeah. Even like the locations they talk about, the things they're talking about, even the Sethians like code of how they live, maybe that causes impurity in the world, and that's why it's decaying. So we have to like take note of that. Like we shouldn't purposely hurt ourselves. Kind of like natural things that are part of the game, but also in the lore as well. Like they got to tell us things through that because there's no like tutorial. There's no character that's going to tell you what you're supposed to be doing. You're going to be thrown into this world, so you better read the lore that they're giving you because some of it might be useful later on, especially when you're dungeon fighting. Or again, we know to go look at Mount Medulla and know who's going to be under there when we look under there potentially. Most people don't even know; they just think that's another mountain, probably.
Yeah, some people don't even know who Armazel is going to be when they enter, and it's
and that goes back to another thing I was going to say. Sorry about Armazel. Like if we do go down there and we do defeat him, and then you get like a fragment of his spirit, which you can then go use to craft like this enchanted sword with other materials that you had to find that are rare or whatever. Well, then they also mentioned that even your rare equipment you're not going to want to use all the time because you're going to have to repair that, and it's going to cost harder
material
cost. Yeah, for the harder the stuff. So maybe you have to go defeat Armazel again to like keep your cool crafted sword charged with that, spirit energy or whatever. Or maybe you get to upgrade it by going back and defeating him. Or when you go back and defeat him with that crafted sword that you crafted, maybe now it opens up, some hidden
Some
passageway,
different
like you
things.
mentioned. That would be so cool to
And
like actually give you more reasons to go back and fight that boss that you'd like to fight already because you want that sword, but also it's gonna open up new opportunities for you. So it's not just the same fight over and over.
and that's why you also don't give a new player the Holy Grail, because of you're gonna have if you okay cool
It could be multiplayer. It can make that boss harder for him
or
whatever.
Hey Joe, we have our 20 Holy Grails. Do you want to give the new player one? And it's like, well, we could, but then that's gonna exponentially increase the amount of farming that we're going to have to do for all of these different types of gear that we, or not gear, but materials that are rare, lootable materials. And, I don't know, maybe put expiration dates on those materials as well. So it's like, if you want to maintain this stuff, you're actively, this is what you're doing. So a large group with 20 of these things in active circulation, I keep on using the number 20, but you have all of these things being used, which means you have to basically your entire clan's gameplay loop is just doing the gameplay to support having the Holy Grail in the first place.
Yeah.
So then you're constantly just doing the same thing over and over and over again because you are just trying to support 20 of this powerful item that falls apart over, 3 uses or something like that.
And maybe that's great for like if the clan does want that cool Armazel sword and that's like really powerful and they fight, it's really good for PvP or whatever or PvE or something, I don't know. So they'd have to go do that to inspire their clan to want to do that. But like you said, that's gonna be a lot of upkeep. Same with the churches, like we mentioned earlier. If people want to like monopolize all the churches, but there's an upkeep cost and materials you need and all this stuff. I mean, go for it, I guess. Like, if there's really not that much, if you can't keep people out and there's like no huge gameplay aspect that owning it gives you or whatever, then I really don't see like unless churches can start taxing everyone or something, then I'm not really that worried.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see if the clan would spend their whole, like the monastic order, they seem like they would spend all their time, money, and resources into not only obtaining churches but then upgrading churches,
right,
and keeping them upgraded,
and circulating the maintenance staff to support those structures as well.
But that's their whole gameplay goal is something like that. Which again, the upkeep could be through you need a PvP enough, you need a PvE for resources, you need to scout out for resources. That's great because then it would inspire more collaboration if they don't already have that within their clan to collaborate with other clans.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely see that with even the Holy Grails and stuff. I'm sure some people are gonna have the materials to make the Holy Grail or like upkeep the Holy Grails with enchantment or whatever, while some people just want a Holy Grail. So you're gonna have to meet in the middle somewhere as far as like who wants it and who's got the stuff to give it to you.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna press play here again.
You'll be playing in a clan and like building village, maybe playing like interact with the multiple clans, and all of you will be able to build the knowledge around the world and like find things out. So again, what we have wanted to make is a world where actual knowledge by the players is valuable. And when you go somewhere and find a good spot for a resource, or you might find a recipe that allows you to create a magical item that like other folks like in your community don't know how to make, it's going to be up to you as a player to choose whether you want to share this information or and because the information is valuable. And especially on the PvP, like you as a clan will probably want to hold on to information that you have found to gain advantage over some of the other players.
Our way of,
I'll pause it. So, in PvP, obviously, it makes sense to withhold certain information from people. It makes sense.
Yes.
So, I mean, but then there's organizations like ours that see the other side of the coin too, right? There's power in giving information to other players too.
For sure. Well, especially like so like the one-time spell thing. I get it if a PvP clan finds that spell, that secret
The
spell.
meteor shower.
Sure, I get why they wouldn't share that with other PvP clans or any other clans in general in fear that it would get out to them. But the minute they use that spell in combat, people are gonna be like, "Oh, that clan, they live in, Gallia." So I'm assuming that they found that magical ring that gave them that spell in Gallia. So let me just look around Gallia where they hang out, kind of thing. Where it's like eventually people are going to catch on to what you've got if you use it at all. If you want to keep knowledge to yourself, great, but you got to keep it hidden. You can't use it
Right.
then. So I mean,
Yeah.
if people want to hoard magic and stuff like that and do that, that's great.
Eventually,
They're
the
going to have
secret
that
comes out.
exactly. Unless they're hoarding it, which then they don't get to use it, and then that makes it pointless.
Yeah,
in my
makes
opinion,
it null and boring.
When I see
Alright.
your cool crafted item, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, I'm assuming you crafted that from somewhere around here. Let me find that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some digging here. Alright, I'm gonna press play again.
You know, telling the story in the game is more that you play the world and not the world plays you. So you're not somebody's, errant boy running around.
In Soviet Russia, the
game plays you.
The game plays you.
Killing rats. You are the master of your destiny, and you discover it, on your own leisure. We don't do quests, so if we would do NPCs giving you out quests, the game is kind of making a contract with you as a player that you're able to finish the quest, and it means the game is kind of holding your hand. You will not lose. But in our game, nobody knows if the dragon can be killed or how to kill the dragon, and this might be an incredibly complex thing to solve, and you would not get away with doing stuff like this in a single player game. But when you have the community solving together like these massive mysteries, it becomes very interesting and it expands the possibilities.
Yes, the questing will be.
Yeah, every time he says that, I'm just losing my brain. Like, so in a single player game, the level of mystery that they're adding is something that just wouldn't fly, because no one would ever solve the problem, because you can't be anywhere, everywhere, all at once. Isn't that a movie?
Yes, I think that's also because you'd have to like search every. That'd be such an insane first player game. That'd be like, it'd be a very long game.
It would be very brutal.
You'd never be done with it.
No.
In amazing ways.
But that's
Great to
that's
get-
what this game aims to be too. Like, we'll never
Right,
be done
yeah.
playing it and doing stuff with it and learning about it. As long as we're collaborating.
We're using
Exactly.
Unreal 5 as our game engine, and it has some really amazing features set in order for us to build these massive worlds. We have millions of objects, with millions of trees, with millions of flora and fauna that's living and dying and breathing, and you can interact with everything in it. You can chop down trees, you can pick.
Pause it again. So they have millions of flora, fauna, things that are living and dying. I wonder if that is saying that eventually their like AI and stuff will be more, because I mean, so far we've even seen screenshots in the alpha, friends and family alpha, from like the buggy parts, but also not the buggy screenshots in gameplay, where you have a deer that's sitting right next to a wolf, and the wolf doesn't care and the deer doesn't care. Like, I wonder if eventually their AI will be a little, not simulation based, but more, I guess, kind of simulation based, where they're reactive to each other as well. So kind of the living and dying part. Probably just talking about players killing things, but I don't know. I feel like it would be really cool.
I think that would be cool too. Like, brings up a good point too, and it reminds me of like Valheim, how like different mobs have different.
They kill each other, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, if they're from different biomes or different, like,
right.
They consider it different factions in that game.
Yeah.
Because, like, technically a deer and a dark forest creature are technically in the same faction, because they're both just nature faction. But then if deer goes into a swamp, it's going to get eaten by a fucking skeleton or a dragon or something. Because it's undead versus living natural creature. Yeah. I would like to see that in this game too, even with things like wolf and deer.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels, and it's not necessarily that they have to simulate it, because that is one, like, Norix is having a heart attack right now. If they ever watch this, they'll be like, oh god, please no. But so it's really resource intensive, but Valheim does a really good job of it, because it's just locational based, right? So they do have a win system as well, but again, in code, that's mostly just proximity and probability. And then they just have a preset amount of characteristics that they follow, but it makes the world feel a lot more alive, and things are moving around and stuff. So
I love the wind aspect in Valheim is one of my favorites. Between like
Oh,
the scent that animals can smell you
yeah,
at, or like
exactly.
the wind for the ship sailing, like the wind in that game is really well done.
Yeah, it's totally a system that you don't think about, and then you play the game and the deer is running away from you and you're like, I'm stealth, how do they see it? And you notice that the
Yeah.
wind is blowing towards them and you're like, oh shoot,
Or even
that's
just like
actually
lighting too, like how well they can see you too, because some creatures are better in the sight than others in that game, and like or better
right.
hearing than others, and that's what I like too, like the
Yeah,
little things like that.
exactly. All right, I'm gonna press play again.
Pick up
Okay.
flowers, you can pick the mushrooms. But what Unreal enables us to do is that it enables us to render this crazy amount of items in photorealistic detail.
And we built a very customizable system where you can
Here's the ring.
match, everything
Sanctus.
together. You can even be wearing a dress underneath the plate armor, or you can mix chain with plate and leather and all kinds of customization options. And of course you can dye your clothes, have different color patterns, different weaves. So we might
The sheer amount of
Even color
and
buttons on your dude. Crafters are gonna have a heyday.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm gonna pause it. Okay. I'm inferring, and this is probably a bad habit, but in the background of this, there's a little like monastery, what looks like to be kind of ruins. So, is it just happenstance that they're looking at a ring in some kind of
right near some monastery looking thing,
right next to a monastery looking thing? And we know from the article that also referred to this similar ring that there was a word that was in the inside, and it was inscribed on the inside of the ring that unlocked a dungeon. Is this the location?
Well, they even said too that you could find a word that is secret
and opens things up,
but also could you say it at an altar?
Yeah, or cast the spell, and when you cast the spell in the area of the dungeon entrance, it reacts completely differently. Who knows?
That's crazy. That's crazy to think that you even find like magical spells through items and stuff that you find. Like I thought it was going to be books you learn them from or whatever, but even items like fucking rings.
So this is I thought about this a while back, and I'm waiting for more information on magic. But one of my video ideas is the different ways that magic systems can work in game. And I say systems because we know that there's books, which it would imply that there's probably some kind of level of learning that your character can do, where they have character skill that gives them access to spells. But then one of the other systems that I was thinking of is what happens if there are items. Like, we know that Armazel allowed us to infuse magic into things. So what if there are items that give you access to stuff too?
That would be interesting. Yeah, like a staff to have magical spells to even.
So like the Sanctus ring.
Yeah.
Like, is that ring that says Sanctus on it, is that like a healing ring or something like that? Because you said Sanctus is like holy, right?
Holy,
yeah. So, is the Sanctus spell then something that
tied to that ring?
Yeah, tied to that ring in some way, and it gives, like, do the players get access to the spell, or do they have to read a book and have that like ring as a key to doing stuff?
Well, they even said too that it would be like a secret word in a spell, so you could have like the whole spell except for you're missing a part, and so it could be from this ring. And so maybe the ring is like, it also has an attribute that increases your healing magic or whatever, but the ring itself doesn't actually do anything. But it gives you the key word for that spell that does help the ring.
That opens the door basically to the spell's full effect. So maybe originally the healing spell is a single target, but then once you learn Sanctus, it becomes an AoE.
That would be cool.
That would be super cool. That would be really cool. I'm just calling healing now Sanctus.
I like it. I really hope
that's
too, like,
lore in my head.
Seeing this is cool, but I assume this ring is a found ring. I want to know if you can craft rings and engrave shit on the rings, because that would be next level.
So then the next question is, would a blacksmith, so you find this ring, cool, but you're not a blacksmith. You go take it to your clan's blacksmith, who then has to study it And that's where it ties into appointment gameplay, right? Where appointment gameplay, as they said, is something where it causes the player to come back over a certain amount of time. So their character is studying that ring over a period of time. And then after they've done the analysis of it, or they've learned it or whatever, now they can put that Sanctus inscription in the ring, or maybe they can put it in an amulet instead, or maybe they can put it somewhere else. And that's the like Armazel enchanting of magical attributes into gear or something. I don't know.
That's really cool of an idea too. I really like that. And also, like, so if this person finds this ring, cool, they have the magic spell as far as they know the word for it, and maybe the ring itself gives you the magic spell. But yeah, like you said, maybe you can go take it to a really good blacksmith and he can duplicate the ring. And then you can but you bring the right materials, obviously, to duplicate it, which is probably really hard or whatever. But then that makes it easy for your clan or for you as the person who found this ring to then sell this quote unquote recipe to other people, and then they can craft this cool magical healing ring.
Yeah, or you're just an adventurer who's looking for some, spare cash. You just finished going through the dungeon and you looted this, ring. You see that it has something on it. You're like, okay, cool, but I don't really care about it because I'm not a healer and I don't care to do anything and I want to make money or something.
Yeah.
So you just go and sell the ring to someone, or you go and give it to your blacksmith buddy or your clanmate or whatever.
This is really opening up the idea for me as far as like an artifacts and acquisition department of the Knowledge Order Guild. I'm like, we gotta make sure we're getting these artifacts before some Looney Tune just like finds it and throws it away.
Hoards it, yeah.
Really important.
Yeah.
Somebody just puts it in their chest and forgets about it, and it's like the one ring to rule them all.
I need to put a clip on my stream for that belongs in a museum.
That
belongs in a museum.
Because it said that in some of the books you can even transcribe some of them skillfully or unskillfully. You can transcribe some of the books. So
oh my
if
gosh!
hoards a book from us to be able to transcribe, that would suck. But if somebody allows us to transcribe the book, we can have one of the copies in every library across creation eventually.
So what if?
So cool.
What if you have an unskilled blacksmith who's trying to copy the ring?
Oh God!
And Sanctus, and they discover the opposite.
Oh yeah, Saintless.
Yeah, Saintless. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that ring, when you use it, it does damage instead, or something like that.
Or
to
damages you when you put it on. Yeah.
You put it on,
or you take more holy damage while you're wearing it, or something.
Exactly.
Not helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Or it's defective and it does the healing spell, but then it hurts you, or it other things, other random attributes that can be assigned to it. It gives you like disease, or it slows your speed when you're running, or something like that. That would be cool too. And that's like craft dependent.
Right way, but then you mess up the chanting part of it, so it looks like the right ring, but it doesn't have the enchantment that ring had, or whatever. That'd be interesting too, because they mentioned there's different ways to quote unquote fail, that it doesn't fail, but it just makes it different. And I like the idea of that you're not failing at doing what you're trying to do. It just came out differently, which is true. Like nothing you do in life is technically a failure. It just didn't come out the way you wanted it to.
Yeah,
it's still useful in other ways.
I tried to make a door the other day, but it turned out to be a wall. So we just put the door somewhere else.
the wall is still good and still useful in different ways. Not as good as the door for your purposes, but still useful item.
I mean, it suits the purpose of a door half the time.
Exactly.
People can't walk through it like a door, but half the time a door you should be able to walk through. It's just half the time, you can, and half the time you can't with the door. But with the wall, it's 100% of the time you can't walk through it, unless you're a spooky ghost. All right,
my mind is just rushing with like books and like transcribing rings and books and I love it.
For
all right, continuing it.
For a spell, do you say it at the altar? What does it mean? And where did you find it? So this is a way to trigger, storytelling. The interesting thing about folklore throughout the ages is that folklore are actually start out as true stories, whereas fairy tales are fiction, and that's the distinction between the two. Folklore often,
distinction between folklore and fairy tales,
or some supernatural things, but in the eyes of the people during those times, this is reality. This is real. Ghosts are real, and this is not disputed as any fantasy. And this is what we want to reflect. So when you're walking in the forest during night, you will find these things. You will find ghosts. You will find the spirits of of the past. And the deeper you go, the more mysterious and strange it becomes.
The idea that
So you should definitely come to our Discord.
like layers,
we have like huge community. We're
Yep.
giving out content actually periodically there, so we are
9 layers
revealing
for us
more and
that
more of the
come
game.
that we can
You
go
can
down
to
into
Steam,
and
we
discover.
would love you to wishlist
Yep.
the game. That would be
not to
amazing
mention
for
the
us.
era, the
But personally,
countless
I think
thousands
Discord
of
is
years
the
that
best
have
place to
already
come
occurred
to,
on this layer
join
alone.
the community there.
Yeah.
That's the
more
thing
I
that's
agree.
wild. So
Go
just
to
to
our
consider how
webpage,
old this
sign up
layer
for the
is,
alpha,
and then
go
how
to Steam,
the
and
other layers have to at
wish
least
us
be,
there,
if not a
and,
fraction of it, if not longer
join our
than that.
Discord community,
Which
is
would be
ever-growing.
wild to
Very
think about
interesting
how much
things happening there,
information and
and
stuff is just
I'll
down
see you in
there.
game.
Yep.
Oh,
100%.
Cannot wait.
All right. We got through it.
Yay!
We did it.
Join the Discord if you're not already.
Join the
You're here and you're not in the
Discord.
Discord.
Yep. Play Pax Day.
Wish
What is
list
the
it.
actual invite link? It should be something. Here.
Oh yeah, I gotta create some commands for Pax Day stuff.
Yep. Here you go. Yeah, it's discord.gg/Pax Day. It's in chat if you haven't joined already. You totally should.
Yeah, definitely do it.
And if you haven't done it so already, I can also spell Discord. I promise. You
Is
should
it
join the
fake link
Professional
real quick?
Gamer Discord.
Yeah, do that.
But I think we're done. I think I haven't seen, I've been like scanning the Pax Day Discord to see if they post any new information that we can break here, but I think we're good to go. Was there anything, Mana, that you wanted to say in conclusion?
Nothing except for sign up for Pax Day, and I'm super excited. This gave us a lot to like discern from this, so I'll definitely be looking out for your videos to come, breaking it down.
Hell yeah. So for anyone watching, Mana, he also streams. Check out his stuff.
Once Pax Day comes out, I'll definitely be streaming more.
He will for sure be streaming Pax Day when it does come out. There's also there's the Order of Knowledge. Check them out. They post recruitment posts. They're not a clan. They're a player organization. And it will span across probably multiple servers as well. So join that community of librarians and knowledge seekers. And
another alias we go by is the Acolytes of Emryn.
There you go.
Emryn the Sage is our prophet right now. They're giving us all the good information.
Exactly. So definitely check that out as well. And if you haven't done so, the Professional Gamer has a YouTube channel. We post content there all the time. This will probably be there at some point. It's just going to be the longest form of content ever known to mankind. We've been streaming for over 2 hours and 30 minutes. That was only 18 minutes and 30 seconds of video, and we went for 2 hours and 35 minutes. So hopefully you all understand how hard it is for me to condense videos just to 30 minutes.
And this could have gone longer, honestly.
And I could honestly continue to talk for hours and hours on end. But that is what the YouTube channel is for. So if you haven't, go over there, check out the videos. We talk a lot about the lore, mostly because that's a lot of what we've gotten so far. We're going to be posting a lot of videos this week and the coming weeks about all of this new content. So check it out. But until next time, consumers, thanks for tuning in. PC Gaming Show. Y'all are champions at the highest order. And we'll see you. Our normal streaming schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we'll be back tomorrow. Back at it again.
Back.
So I will talk to you all later. Have a great rest of your Sunday or Monday, depending on where you live. And love your faces. Bye. All right, consumers. Well, if you made it this far, that is all we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the live reaction and analysis from Phoenix, ManaJunkies, and myself. It was really fun putting on a live event like that, and I think we'll continue to do this in the future for all the big informational jumps, as well as possibly even just monthly kind of sit down and chats with all the content creators around PAX Day. If you liked this and you want to see more of it, or you have any other kind of feedback, be sure to leave it down in the comments below. Other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with any of your friends. Thanks again for making it this far. It really does help our small startup channel, and I can't wait to bring all of the new information in a more condensed format to you in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. Other than that, I'm Eltari, the professional gamer, and I'll see you in the next video.